Wait for the notification. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 25 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. We got the usual panel on. Myself, Joseph, Danny, Adjusted. Blake isn't on today. He's feeling under the weather, so we wish that he feels better. But in his place, coming out of nowhere, is Austin.
Hello, everybody. My name's Austin.
All right, so we got a decent amount to talk about. We got Formula One in Singapore. We got the IndyCar finale. Laguna Seca, the champion, is finally crowned. No real surprise. Not going to spoil it yet. And then we got the Cup Series race, the Xfinity playoffs beginning at Richmond, and the Cup Series playoffs continuing at Richmond. But before we begin, as always, we will give you a look at the fantasy league standings for our, little fantasy league.
I forgot to introduce myself. I'm almost Greg from the Wiggles. This is the closest I look as to being Greg from the
Wiggles. Oh my god.
Move on.
All right, so here the look at the World Racing Media Championship standings. The gap has stayed the same between me and Danny. 4 points separate the two of us, and then the gap is there's a gap. I said that the lookout for Josh. Yeah, he's in third now. What the fuck?
Damn it!
Josh is definitely a dark horse right now.
No, yeah. Well, I have to just sneak by Joseph and then get to Josh, and then maybe if everybody could stop picking people that are better and start picking back markers, I could gain points.
It's almost like the people that you pick just don't want to win the races. I picked Hamilton because I gave up on Vettel after Monza.
Well, what happens if
Hamilton had not even a podium on Sunday?
Well,
I went to pick Kyle Busch.
He got beat.
He won the Richmond 375, but not the Richmond 400.
Yeah, because that was Truex
But Justin, you got a long way to get to me, man.
I don't care about. I want to get a podium. I want to get the third first. I just have to pass. I only have 5 points to get the third. I'm 5 points out of third place. I still have a chance to get the third.
Armani, you got a long way to go, bro.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're only separated by 4 points. Right
yeah,
now.
that ain't a long way. I'm not like these scrubs over here who are over 50 back.
Well, that's not our fault that our picks just
y'all got a long way to catch us.
But yeah, back to it. Yeah, so like me and Danny, basically it's between me and Danny. I mean, there's no question about it. But I would be afraid of Josh just because he went from being 11th to 3rd. And that's kind of terrifying when I think about it. Not really. And then Joseph moves up to 4th after him being 6th basically the entire season. And then Justin falls to the bottom half of the top 5 at 5th. Larry moves up to 6th. Will moves down to 7th, but despite him being basically the god of NASCAR picks. Thomas, and then basically 8th through. This is basically the same. The only difference is that Blake overtook NCAO.
Okay.
And if you guys want to know, it's like a nice little insider and how this is basically how we perform our tiebreakers. Basically, who has the most wins? And by wins, I mean who got the most picks right. So I keep track because why the hell not? And so this is what it is. I've gotten the most picks right with 9 because I'm the GOAT. Danny and Will, they have 8. Josh has 7. Joseph 6. Justin 4. Larry 3. At one point, he went 4 or 5 weeks without a single correct pick, and now he's up to 3. NCAL, Jeff, and Blake 2, and as Thomas said, dead last with only 1 pick right.
Damn.
And yeah, that's your World Racing Media standing. So let's get to the actual business. Hold on. Before we continue, Josh is in the chat. Be afraid of me. I don't know, Josh.
I don't know about that, bro. You got a long way to us, man.
Well, if Josh could start picking really good drivers, he could start catching.
Wait, Danny, didn't we agree to pick BJ McLeod? And
oh, wait. No, we agreed that we should not pick just for this week, just to let the others catch us.
No. This is what we agreed to. We agreed to. Yeah, I picked BJ McLeod. You picked Mike Harmon.
Mike Harmon.
I don't think a real driver.
Hey,
we gotta let the boys catch up to us. And Josh isn't helping his case, picking the 77 the rest of the year.
And Armani's gonna pick for F1. He's gonna pick Robert Kubica.
Justin, how foolish can you be? Why would I want to pick?
Yeah,
Lord
man.
Robert Kubica?
Okay, well,
You
let's
already
get to
know.
the point.
You already know that I'm gonna pick the Lord, the God Himself.
Oh,
That Pastor Maldonado is still without a ride and is currently a former F1 driver. So
He's a
hey,
God.
the 77.
the
Okay, he
God.
won one race, but
He
let's
is
be
God.
honest.
It
What with
was
God?
the
Speaking
greatest
of
moment
which-
in Formula One history.
Yeah, speaking of which, you know what's crazy right now?
What?
You know what really bothers me is that
No.
Nico Hulkenberg doesn't have a ride, and Roman Grosjean has a ride.
We'll talk about
Uh-huh.
that in the future because we'll
Yeah.
start with the NASCAR, and that's a great discussion because F1 is certainly on the hot topic when it comes to 2020 season drivers, and the silly season has started very early in comparison to other F1 seasons.
All right,
Let's
so
start
yeah,
with
let's
the Cup
get to
Series,
action.
guys.
Yeah,
uh,
let's get to business. Let's get serious on this.
So the second race of the first round of the Cup Series playoffs in the round of 16 takes place at Richmond. Martin Truex Jr. scores his second win, sweeping both races at Richmond in 2019. JGR becomes the winningest driver at the track, beating Penny Enterprises' record of 15 wins. Let's talk about the top 10 of the race. You guys can quote off me. So Martin Truex Jr. won stage 1 and led 109 laps off 8th place from the grid, plus the spin off turn 4, which he recovered and eventually took the victory. Kyle Busch finished second. He won stage 2 and led the most laps at 202. Started 4th. Denny Hamlin makes a Joe Gibbs Racing trifecta. He led no laps but started 6th. Brad Keselowski 4th. Ryan Newman, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Daniel Suarez, Jimmy Johnson, and mind you, Eric Jones, he was excluded from the results after failing post-race inspection, moving him all the way down to 38th. Although the car finished 4th on the track afterwards in tech, he came out 38th.
and we only had 3 leaders. Keselowski was the last driver to lead with 89 laps. They were the only ones that led that race.
And Keselowski started from the pole.
Yep, and he did great early on.
To quote NASCAR opinion, Richmond isn't a short track.
Well, it feels like it's 8:10. It's less than a second.
It's
So
like
it could,
clearly short track.
it's a 3/4 mile. I think no, it's 0.
It doesn't race like a short track, is what he's trying to say. And I get what he's saying.
Oh, yeah. Here
Yeah.
comes the entertainment demands.
Well,
If
I
the
mean,
race doesn't look
to
like
me, Richmond is like
Martinsville
Richmond.
2017, it's a bad race.
Well, to me, Richmond is like Dover. While the racing may not be, I'm gonna go as far as to say good. You appreciate the driver's skill that goes into it. That's why I like Dover so much. It's like, yeah, the racing has been very bad. That's been poor recently, but I appreciate what the drivers have to go through to, get around Dover. Same thing with Richmond.
And the thing about Dover I really like, especially since we'll begin the round of 8 over there
Round
in
of 12.
2 weeks' time, or the round of 12, 2 weeks' time, is that it's a track like no other, which is another reason why I'm a fan of Loudon, New Hampshire, because Loudon, it's like the magic mile. You don't usually see a track that's 1 mile long with flat corners where speed is required. And the same thing goes with Dover, because Dover you don't see other tracks similar to Dover. There's no sister circuit to Dover. Well, Kansas, Vegas, they have similarities, clear similarities, Daytona, Talladega, and then the D-shaped ovals, Atlanta, Texas, somewhat Kentucky,
Well,
and
Let
Charlotte.
me start on Kentucky.
I just realized Bristol has the concrete surface like Dover, but Bristol has more banking than Dover. That's the only difference.
And Bristol's
with
a short
Bristol.
track. Well, Dover is not.
Dover's a mile. It's only half a mile bigger. And yeah, that's true. They only have the same surface. They have concrete instead of actual pavement, like all the other tracks.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's talk about. Let's go back to the Richmond race for a moment because we didn't we didn't mention the playoff notables and finished outside the top 10. Joey Logano finished 11th. He started 28th. Chase Elliott finished 13th. Started third, one lap down at the end. Eric Almirola, 16th. Ryan Blaney, 17th. Kurt Busch, the first car, 2 laps down, 18th place. And the 200 cars of Alex Bowman and William Byron, 23rd, 24th. And, of course, Eric Jones, 38th, disqualified from the race. So those are the drivers that finished outside the top 10 in the playoffs. Now, here's some other notables that are not playoff drivers. Bubba Wallace, 12th place, his third top 15 of the season. Matt DiBenedetto, 14th. Austin Dillon, 22nd. Paul Menard, 27th. And Chris Buescher, 31st. Let's have your takes, guys.
I feel I'm just mad about what happened with Oxbow, but I don't feel like it was Austin Dillon's fault. I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like it was
Justin's conspiracy theories.
I think you know what happened last year at the Roval. Remember, Kyle Larson needed a place. Hemrick spun Jeffrey Earnhardt.
For a brief moment, I thought that was Spingate 2.0.
My brain, I think that Hemrick ordered Austin Dillon to do that to get
in
Hemrick
your
up
utopia,
an
that's
extra.
correct.
Yeah,
But
I
on
think
the racetrack, that's not.
you're
Because
talking
it was
about.
retaliation to the turn 1 incident that
But
happened before the caution.
But what happens if we hear on Radioactive Hemrick say,
Excuse me, on the
turn
restart.
him, turn him? What happens if he says turn him the whole time?
I'm pretty sure Radioactive's already released.
No, it usually releases on Tuesday or Wednesday. So whenever we could hear it, if Hemrick has something to do with
It's
it,
best to assume that's not true, but
well,
let's talk about Alex Bowman's car was struggling the whole race weekend long, and I feel like they didn't improve from the spring race whatsoever because they seemed lackluster. That was like the last race Alex Bowman had before his breakthrough began, which of course started at Talladega and those 3 consecutive second place finishes, and then races from that, his first win at Chicagoland.
like I feel like I don't know, but it's just annoying that every short track they put money into Chase Elliott's car. Why do they give Chase Elliott the better car?
Because
Yeah, they're gonna get.
They
I
have
mean,
to give it. They
if
have to give
Chase
it.
Elliott has the better car and he's running 13th, 14th,
Well, he was running most of the race.
he
in the-
started third
Yeah, that's the
compared
reason.
to Bowman, who started 20th, and Byron, who started 25th.
That's the
I just
problem.
noticed similarities there. Maybe the team has struggled as car chiefs or the crew members just putting the car together.
Maybe
The
they
crew chiefs
didn't.
are not working together, but I do see improvements when in regards to Chad Knaus and William Byron.
Maybe
I'm
they,
very curious to see what their setup looks like heading into Charlotte Roval, especially with Chad Knaus.
maybe they
Because
put a
car together.
maybe they put a GP2 engine in there. This is
No.
what the F2. Well, we've seen
probably has
Fernando
more
Alonso-
horsepower than the 550. Or,
No,
excuse me. 900 horsepower restricted to 550 with a tapered spacer.
No, they
That's
should have.
true.
No, they must have put in a K&N engine. That they don't even. They go like.
Justin,
You never know. They
Stay off.
listen, I want to tell you
the
something.
Wee.
Well,
Nah,
remember,
seriously,
hey.
I want to be really clear. This is as much as Justin's a great person on the podcast, he just cannot cough up and say Alex Bowman struggled in the
that-
driving aspect.
You know
Because-
what? You know what? Wait, hold on. I'll say
No.
it for everyone. I got the perfect solution. All right, it's so simple.
Put-
You just
Fire.
kick Alex Bowman out of the 88 because he's garbage. He's trash. He lucked his way to Chicagoland.
No.
What in
No,
place for
no.
Pastor Maldonado?
Dude,
There you
hold
go.
hold on.
No.
Joseph, now you're
no.
getting it.
No.
Now you're
No.
starting to put those nuts back in your brain.
No.
Wait. Hold on. Right? Joseph, wait, Justin, you
Wait.
gotta admit it, man. Come on.
No, I
Look
just
who won,
hate it.
man.
They
You
should
know he's
switch.
gonna get knocked out of the first round.
Gustafson should be the 88 project. Greg Ives can't.
That I agree with. He's
Greg
not.
Ives. Greg
he's
Ives.
not- because
Remember.
Gustafson still has struggling moments with Chase Elliott.
Exactly.
But Chase Elliott has won a championship with Greg Ives,
That is
2014.
true.
They
They
Bowman.
click together.
But
Just saying.
if Bowman would have Gustafson, maybe they would do better.
Because
Then
I'm
we have-
not gonna lie. Statistically, it is correct that Chase Elliott has struggled this year for a portion. Okay, from round 15 at Michigan, all the way that's June, all the way till round 22, his win at Watkins Glen. Not a single appearance in the top 10
Wow.
from race 15 at Michigan in June till race 22, his win at Watkins Glen in August.
Yeah. Well,
That
Bowman.
is struggling. That is a
Well-
struggling car. That's a struggling driver and a struggling combination of both. Chase Elliott got it together.
Want
Well,
to know my opinion?
yes.
Let's give a crew chief line for Hendrick Motorsports in my utopia. Chase Elliott gets Kevin Grubb.
Kevin
Alec
Grubb.
Bowman gets Alan Gustafson.
You
Darian
said
Grubb.
Darian Grubb.
Not
Darian
Kevin
Grubb.
Grubb. No.
Darian.
That's impossible.
What's the difference? What they're both Grubbs.
No, Kevin Grubb. You don't realize Kevin Grubb passed away.
Oh well, he could come back from the grave.
No.
Too soon.
I don't.
That would
All
be
right, so Darian Grubb, crew chief for Chase Elliott,
yeah.
Gustafson for Bowman, and then keep Byron and Johnson the same way.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though I personally think that Canals is probably
Whoops.
Canals may or may not retire in 2020. I'm not 100% sure yet.
He's not
Jack
going
Knaus
to.
and
No.
How,
Jack
Yeah,
Knaus
no.
and John
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 John's not
Lennon
going to
and Paul
retire
McCartney.
as well.
how old is I? Not Ives. I
Wait,
know
wait,
Ives is
hold on,
40.
hold on. Austin, will you say who else is not gonna retire?
John is not going to retire after 2020.
Thank you.
Are you sure?
Well, listen. Okay,
Yes.
let's be clear.
Busher should
I was
drive.
curious to-
What happened to Richard Petty? He didn't win after 1984, and he still raced until 92.
Yeah.
Okay, but he was also an owner driver.
Yeah. This is
Moving
not an
on.
owner.
Cares.
Hey,
Okay,
hey,
moving-
hey,
He's doing it for fun.
Chris
He
Go on.
enjoyed doing that.
Busher deserves a better ride.
Yeah. Well.
False.
You're right. We give Busher the 88.
But
No,
hold on.
no, no.
Oh,
no,
let me
no,
talk
no.
about Jimmy and Chad for a moment. Jimmy Canals, Jimmy,
Jimmy-
God,
Jimmy Canals.
Oh
Jimmy
my
and
God.
I
They
got
are
something in
guys.
my
Right.
head.
Joseph,
I got something in my
Joseph.
head.
They are like
2020.
Bill Belichick,
I
Jimmy
think
Canals.
I'm ready to say
They're like-
all the weed.
Guys,
Yeah.
they're like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Just people who can do magical things together. And this is the first time, let's say, to be honest, I feel like Jimmy Johnson in 2019 is kind of like John Lennon's music after the Beatles. Lackluster. And I know it's not racing. I know I'm talking about music.
I'm
Wow.
gonna piss off Robbie.
I know Robbie Noonan's
Oh,
a
man.
Beatle maniac. But that's for another discussion. We got to bring him back on the podcast.
Yeah, we will one day. All right, so I actually want to get to the point standings. Like after all this talk about kicking out the garbage Alex Bowman, I'm just kidding. The only garbage driver I really defend is Austin Dillon.
Source into the 48.
No,
Get out
getting it.
now.
Okay. Let's actually get to the point standings
Okay.
after Richmond.
Yeah.
So Truex, Harvick, and Kyle Busch are locked in. Just need to make sure this was the correct standings. They're locked in. Hamlin and Kozlowski, they're basically locked in. They're only out of it by like 2 points. To be locked in, you gotta have plus 56 points. So Hamlin, Kozlowski, and Logano, they're basically locked in unless they literally just like don't start the race. Elliott is plus 37, Larson plus 25, Newman plus 14. We'll get to that in a second. Blaney plus 8, Almirola plus 3, and Willie B plus 2. And the cutoff, Bowman minus 2, Boyer minus 4, Kurt Busch minus 15, and Eric Jones minus 45 after that DQ. I'll name
Wait,
some
hold
notable.
on. Before you get to anything on money, for the last 4 drivers, I got a little song for you. Na 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 Hey, goodbye.
Well, hey, if Brad Keselowski to do the same thing as last year, maybe that would be
That's
funny.
when everything's shaken up. Like,
Hey,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that should happen 2 years in a row. That would
Okay.
the race 2 years ago was in
No,
the
last year, the 2
the
years in a
Charlotte
row.
500.
Okay.
No, I mean. Yeah,
Let's
look
talk
at-
about like
I'm
the,
gonna give
the
you guys
drivers
some
inside the
notable.
playoffs though.
I'm gonna give you guys some notables, like in and out, blah 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 blah. So the biggest notable is Ryan Newman, 9th in points plus 14. I don't know how the hell that happened. I don't know where Roush. I don't know what drugs Roush took to give Newman a top 5 car at Richmond of all places.
Yeah.
So and he's plus 14. So I had a gut feeling that Newman could make his way into the round of 12. I want to see him go to the round of 8. I'm gonna 100%. I want to see him make the championship. I wanted to pull in 2014.
He's gonna work
Oh
twice
my
as hard.
God,
And I'm
Armani.
not gonna lie, Ryan Newman's
Still
performance at
thinking
Richmond,
You know,
that was all driver talent there.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He did really good.
yeah,
And
man.
experience. That was experience.
Does anybody else
Oh,
agree
great
with me? Does anybody else agree with me when I say Ryan Newman is the real dark horse here?
Absolutely, and he gets
Yes.
a lot of knack for things out of his control.
All
And
right.
he gets yelled at when he races aggressive.
I guess so.
All right.
But I just
and
wanted to say
Ryan-
something real
wait,
quick.
Hold
But still, he's
Go,
an
Armani.
ogre.
All right, let me just name off the rest of the notables. Ryan Blaney plus 8. I thought Blaney would be outside. I thought Ryan Blaney would be like in the Kurt Busch position out of Richmond just because of how horrendous he is at the track. So him being plus 8, that should be a win for that team.
Yeah.
Almirola and Byron, they're about where I expect them to be. Bowman -2. I mean, doesn't really surprise me. I had him out after round 1. Clint Boyer -4, so he made a comeback. Kurt Busch 15th. He really hasn't made up any ground, but he won the pole at the Roval last year, so who knows? Watch out for Kurt Busch at the Roval. And then Eric Jones, he's in a must-win situation. I don't see him winning the
He's
Roval. So
mathematically out of it.
yeah, give me who you think is going to make it into the round of 12 and who are going to be the 4 drivers eliminated. Just looking at it now. I'm not talking about from predictions he had in the past, like right now. As for me, I'm going with Alex Bowman, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, and William Byron.
I think Almirola is out. Almirola will have a major slip up for some reason. I don't know why. I just don't see him succeeding past the Roval. William Byron will make it through. Listen, if Alex Bowman had a good race at Richmond, he would have had a better shot at making it through. Though he's behind 2 points, I just don't see him making it through because Ryan Newman, the thing is, Ryan Newman, that race he had at Richmond was so monumental with the stage points gained and the finishing result was enough for him to get 14 points. Now, mind you, don't get me wrong, 14 points, he could still slip and miss out. It's very easy to lose 14 points as much as gaining it, but that was an unexpected curve for everyone on the chase grid this year. So I think that Bowman will just be out. Really, the race at Richmond was not a good sign for me. But Byron's road course experience this year has proven I think he's going to make it through just enough. Almirola is going to have a mistake. Kurt Busch, he will squeak through with stage points. Eric Jones will be out of it. He pretty much is the guaranteed guy out of the round of 12 because of the must-win situation. Although we've seen drivers in must-win situations in the past prove themselves, like Kevin Harvick in 2014 at Phoenix, Brad Keselowski in that same year at Talladega.
I'll give my quick opinion on why I have who I pick out. Almirola, been garbage. That's self-explanatory. William Byron, he's not a road course racer. You like Will said it during NASCAR by the numbers. You can't just flip a switch. Like I don't care how good of an engine of a crew chief check analysis. You can't just flip the switch on a driver who's not a road course racer. Alex Bowman, I mean, like I said, I'd said before, and it's proven me true. Las Vegas was his only shot at making it past the round of 12, in my opinion. He had a 6th place run, and even then, he was only up by 3 points. And then Richmond basically reversed that. He finished 3rd at the Roval last year. I know that, but
he finished 4th.
either way, either way, he
Oh.
finished top 5, but I still don't think that's going to be
Wait.
enough for Bowman to make it past the round. And then Eric Jones, I don't see him winning the Roval. He's good at Watkins Glen, but other than that, he's not really the best road course racer, even though the Roval isn't really like other road courses. So yeah, that's why I got Jones, Almirola, Byron, and Bowman, and I got Boyer and Kurt Busch moving on along with Ryan Blaney and Ryan Newman.
For me, the people that are going to be out, I think that Boyer's going to be out because I feel like Boyer did not run good last time. Boyer's this season on road courses, like Boyer's average has not been good. He's not been good recently. So I think Clint Boyer's going to miss it. Eric Jones guarantees going to miss it because the Roval. I think William Byron's going to miss it. And Eric Almirola. I think Almirola is going to miss it for some reason. I think but I bet that Almirola is going to miss it by 1 point. He's going to miss it by 1 point.
Well,
It's gonna
here's
be-
something about Clint Boyer I want to mention. He ran 29 races in the Cup Series in the road course with a win, 11 top 5s, and 16 top 10s.
But the season is at the road course.
Yeah, you're right. This season has been a
Ooh.
struggling one for him.
That's the problem about
And you
Boyer.
can't really compare Watkins Glen to the Charlotte Roval because the cars are much, much slower. Like Watkins Glen's a traditional fast road course with the chicane and all that. Where
yeah,
Sonoma, you could compare Sonoma a little bit more to the Charlotte Roval this year because of the added corners and the carousel. So we get to see the cars a lot more in slower speeds.
Yeah, and also the difference about the Roval has more banking. That has the actual Charlotte banking for the actual oval track, but the only difference there's a slower chicane instead of going full. So I think that Bowman will only make it by 1 just because like something last year, you know what happened with Kyle Larson got in.
Or just the entire ruckus of that green one checker.
Or yeah, something like that. We're gonna have crazy racing. People we're gonna have some craziness. We're gonna have some crazy things. We're gonna have a crazy race at the Roval. So I think that Almirola will miss it by -1 point. Yeah.
I know it's a wild guess for us to say Alex Bowman. Sorry to cut you off there, but I think it's a wild guess for us to say not Alex Bowman, but Eric Almirola will miss out because we do know Eric Almirola has talent and he has much, much longer experience than most of these drivers, with success because last year was Almirola's breakthrough season, if we can all agree upon. But I just don't see that clicking right now in that 10 car this year.
In my opinion, Stuart Haas this year to me is kind of like what Andretti Autosport was this year. They have one good driver, and then the second driver he's hit or miss, and then the other two are just irrelevant for the most part. Obviously, Harvick with Rossi. We'll get to IndyCar later. Harvick is Rossi, or Boyer is Hunter-Reay, and Almirola and Suarez are Veach and Andretti.
I'd say Almirola is more like Hunter-Reay in this case.
Boyer has not.
Boyer has like the Hunter-Reay experience of being a championship contender.
He has better stats than Almirola. Almirola hasn't finished top 5 since Phoenix at the beginning of the season.
Wow.
Ooh.
He has 1 top 5 and
really.
10 top 10s. Boyer has 6 top 5s and 13 top 10s.
I don't know what's going on with Stuart Haas with Harvick doing good and his teammates not doing good.
In my opinion, Stuart Haas just needs. It's his sophomore. It's probably a sophomore slump. I mean, we kind of saw with Joseph Newgarden last year. He won 3 races, but he only finished on the podium those 3 times and finished 5th in points. And it was like maybe it's a sophomore slump with the team. He'll bounce back next year.
Right.
But I don't know. I think what we saw with Almirola last year is probably the best we're gonna get. I mean, I'm sorry, but like if you can't finish top 5 more than once in a Stuart Haas car, what are you doing?
So they do qualify up front, and they lead laps.
He hasn't finished top 10 since the July Daytona race.
Ooh, that's
A race that was all about circumstances.
I'm not trying to dog on Almirola, but I'm just saying, what the hell are they doing?
Maybe they're I don't know. Their pit crews maybe not trying. The crew chiefs maybe not paying attention to what's going on, and they don't bring a good setup.
All right. So, do any of you got any predictions on who will be out in the round of 16?
Definitely Jones.
Yeah.
Definitely Boyer.
Yeah, I know. Kurt. Yeah, Jones is way far out, and the Roval is
I don't
chaotic.
know how. I don't know how Kurt Busch ended up in that position.
Because he DNF'd out of Las Vegas.
And he didn't do good at Charlotte. At not Charlotte.
We're not
Richmond.
Charlotte yet. We're almost at
Richmond.
evening.
We're
Not
not at
Bristol,
Charlotte yet,
Richmond.
bud.
Richmond. Yeah, Kurt Busch did not do good at Richmond either, so that's the problem with Kurt Busch. He didn't get stage points at all. That didn't help him.
I think we'll have a lot to see, especially since this is the second race with the road course layout. Unlike most years, it used to be the Charlotte 500, and you kind of get a grip from the Coke 600 to learn about the race. Now
Well,
it's all experimental,
well,
and it's only the second race.
well. The problem is it's more experimental. Remember, backstraight with chicane. You have to slow down for it, and it's more tougher than the old chicane. That's another issue.
I have a
It's a-
question.
What?
Is the added chicane, the edited chicane on the backstretch
Yeah.
going to affect the race? In what ways will
I
that
don't-
affect the race?
I think it's the drivers are gonna try to outbrake each other because you can't go fast through there. You have to shift down to like second gear. I think something's gonna happen. I bet somebody's gonna miss their brakes and get into someone because it's hard to drive. It's like it's gonna be
In the end, these are stock cars.
and plus this chicane is tighter than Watkins Glen's chicane. So
On the Watkins Glen chicane, you fling through in high speed.
here you have to slow down. It's a tougher chicane, and you could barely go too wide in that chicane.
Well, that was last year because last year you flung through the chicane
But here,
and could barely go double wide.
here you have to do this and that to get out of the chicane.
You have to process through the chicane.
Yeah, you can't go full throttle. You can't go fast through there, or it's just gonna plow in a couple cars and. Yeah, so it's going to be a tough.
I mean, we'll talk
chicane.
more about that later, actually, because when we get to our upcoming races. But I think you had to survive Richmond and Vegas, or at least in the safer zone, the first two races, just enough so you don't have to worry about the track. This is the last place anybody wants to depend on whether they make it through the next round or not, because it's just too unpredictable, and these drivers are going to deal with the pressure either by making it through, prevailing, surprising with the win like Eric Jones has to do it, or they might just falter through the cracks like Jimmy Johnson last year and missed the first round.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, me neither.
It's been a year.
I
But
don't want to
seriously,
hear
my
it.
point has nothing to do with these
'Cause
drivers.
at
These
this point,
guys'
I'm not
preferences.
surprised.
So, I'm just stating facts. You want to talk about Xfinity?
Yeah,
let's
we
move
could-
on to the
yeah.
Xfinity series.
All right,
So
it's
I got the result. Oh, you got the results.
I got the results. It's pretty clear. This was the first race of the 2019 NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs for race 1 of 3 in the season overall is round 27 of 33. Christopher Bell had a walk-off victory, leading 238 of the 250 laps.
They should.
So at both stages to score his third win at the track and his 15th Xfinity win total. 7th win in 2019, which matches his record number of wins in 2018. So Christopher Bell is into the next round of the playoffs. But let's talk about the results. Austin Cindric, the pole sitter, led 8 laps to finish second. Cole Custer, playoff driver, finished third, started 12th. Justin Allgaier finished in the 4th spot. He started second. Chase Briscoe from the 5th spot on the grid finished 5th. That's your top 5 are all playoff drivers. And here's a non-playoff driver, Harrison Burton, 6th place in the Joe Gibbs number 18. Noah Gragson, 7th. Zane Smith, 8th place in the Junior Motorsports number 8. Michael Annette finished 9th. And Tyler Reddick finished 10th, started 3rd in a very unusual performance this year by Tyler Reddick. You usually see him up front at one point or another, but he still managed to fit in the top 10. Now, here's some notable drivers in the playoffs that finished outside the top 10. Brandon Jones, he's the third of 3 drivers who led in the race. He led 4 laps, started 11th, finished 11th. John Hunter Nemechek started last after a problem in qualifying, came back to finish 15th. Oh, excuse me, Ryan Sieg. I forgot about Ryan Sieg. He finished 12th after starting 13th.
No, Ryan Sieg got DQ'd.
No, he did not.
That was
that
after
was-
Vegas.
Oh,
that was
Justin
after-
Haley, the last of the 12 drivers in the playoffs, finished 17th after starting 7th.
Nemechek.
What's more to say?
There's not much to talk about.
For me, is what was Nemechek doing? Being mad at Joe Graf Jr. for 14th. He was mad for getting bumped for 14. I'm like, and then he goes wreck him after the checker. And I'm like, NASCAR should give him a penalty, a 50-point penalty. I just feel it was kind of stupid. And Nemechek,
It was useless.
But
I mean,
why
not
would-
gonna lie, John Hunter Nemechek had a pretty bad race to begin with.
he got bumped for 14th and then wrecks Joe Graf Jr. after the race. I'm like, what the hell?
Joe Graf Jr. is useless anyway, so
No, John Hunter Nemechek's not doing anything.
Well,
He's-
listen, he's also
Well,
driving
not
for a
wrong.
team that is struggling financially.
well, I even said that they should have put Junior Motorsport should have hired John Hunter Nemechek.
I know. I hope he ends up in JR Motorsports sooner or later. But let's talk about the point standings real quick for the Xfinity Series. As I mentioned, this is round of 8. No, round of
Round of
12.
12.
Race 1 of 3 that just completed. So Christopher Bell, with the win, advances to the second round of the playoffs, which is the round of 8. Cole Custer is second, 45 points above the cut line. Tyler Reddick, third, plus 23. Austin Cindric, fourth, plus 19. Justin Allgaier, fifth, plus 6 above the cut line. And sixth, seventh, and eighth, they're all 3 points or less above the cut line. Michael Annett, Chase Briscoe, Noah Gragson. So the drivers below 8th place still, the safe zone is everyone above 8th. Everyone below 8th are the drivers in danger. Brandon Jones, 9th, minus 15. Ryan Sieg, 10th, minus 19. Justin Haley, 11th, minus 20. And John Hunter Nemechek, 12th, minus 21 points. So it's kind of close, kind of not. You can tell who won the stages and who finished up front when you need to, because stage points they're more important than ever now.
Yeah, they are really important because without it, there's less chance of you making it to the next round. Like you see John Hunter Nemechek. He didn't even have any bonus points. He had only 2,000 points.
I think he's the only driver in the Xfinity Series playoffs not to have to have bonus points tacked on afterwards for winning.
Yeah,
stage.
correct.
Like Ryan Sieg, he had 1 bonus point from he had the playoff point after he won the stage at stage 2 Texas he won stage at Texas, so he got bonus points. But Nemechek didn't have any bonus points. He was the only one without a stage win to get a bonus point. So yeah, that didn't help him.
The points are about as I expected to be. Bell is locked in. Custer he can sleep on the Roval, in all honesty. Reddick plus 38. I expect Reddick to do well. Along with Austin Cindric, Justin Allgaier, I think will be fine. Annett, I think he'll be all right. I think that the bottom 4, it's about what I expect it to be. Maybe not Justin Haley to be like minus 20. So if you have to ask me who would get eliminated now, I'd probably go Brandon Jones because he's useless. Ryan Sieg because he's Ryan Sieg, but like
I
still
don't know
car.
if he's sustainable enough to make it through. That's
John-
my problem. The car and the equipment.
John Hunter, he's just been kind of irrelevant all season. And I'm really debating between whether to throw out Justin Haley or Noah Gragson.
I don't know.
I feel like Gregson's he's just gonna do what he did a lot in the truck. I do have a weird feeling he's gonna do what he did a lot in the truck series, especially at Dover, and that's just like be way too aggressive and just end his playoff hopes. I don't know why. I have a
Ryan
feeling he's gonna
Sieg?
do something.
Or John
No,
Hunter.
Gragson.
Gregson.
Oh, Gregson. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Gregson.
I'm 50-50 on whether to throw out Haley or Gregson.
But Noah Gregson's never run the Roval either. He's never drove at Charlotte Roval.
To be fair, like half of the drivers haven't.
Yeah, that is true.
Briscoe won last year, so he has it.
Well, let's be real.
Allgaier
Every
has-
one of them has at least driven there once or twice in their iRacing,
But
Fees
Noah
are not-
Gregson, but Noah
especially Noah Gragson and
Yes,
Justin Haley.
yeah, Nemechek has driven on iRacing.
Don't think we don't see their Instagram stories.
Oh
we,
yes,
we know what toys they have in the house. So
Wait,
at least
at
they use
wait.
it, I'm sure.
Wait, at least they don't have. Yeah, they do. That's how drivers learn. Yeah.
But the physical aspect of the traditional aspect of coming to the racetrack and having that experience is little to none. And there's a lot of uncertainties still when it comes to the track at Charlotte Roval. We'll talk about that later when we go into the
Yeah.
upcoming races, because we
Yeah.
do have to talk about yesterday morning, or technically for their region, Sunday night, the Singapore Grand Prix.
Oh, the race. Oh, is that
You guys
race?
ready to talk about Formula One?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, so Sebastian Vettel. when me and Joe decide to give up on him, now it's when he decides to win.
Well, hey.
I'm a happy camper. I don't care.
didn't-
A win
I
is a win. I'm so
would-
happy.
I,
I
picked
wish-
Charles to win, so I was kind of hoping for the weekend sweep.
Almost.
I
I-
almost got it.
I wish that he didn't do that undercut. I wish he would have did that undercut. I wish Hamilton would have pitted earlier.
That undercut made
No.
a difference.
Yeah, Lewis was catching Leclerc at the end of the run. Yeah, but he couldn't get by Verstappen. He was stuck behind them the whole time. And also about Singapore. Interesting fact about Singapore. Usually, we've seen the top three teams lead the races. This is the first time that another team's except Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari has led.
All year long.
Since 2015 was the last time with
Really?
Williams. Williams, 2015 at Silverstone was the last time.
A
It's
team
been-
outside the big three.
Yeah.
The modern big three.
Giovinazzi led 4 laps with Alfa Romeo. So that was the first time in 4 years.
Good for them. But that was during, of course, the pit cycles.
But
Now,
that-
let's talk about the race itself for a moment. Sebastian
Yeah.
Vettel won his 53rd career Grand Prix, and his first in 2019 took over a year and a half, or over almost a year and a half. It felt like a year and a half in my mind, because I'm a huge Vettel fan, but it took over a year and 2 weeks on the calendar year for Sebastian Vettel to win. And for the first time since 2018, or maybe should I say the second time since 2012, both Ferrari drivers reached the top step of the podium in the same season. Yeah, we go back to days of Felipe Massa, Fernando Alonso, when both drivers won a race in the same year. For the second time it's happened. Of course, last year just barely Kimi Räikkönen, but now I think Ferrari may have learned that there's two equal talented drivers here, and they should treat them the same way. But that's another topic. Let's talk about the race for a moment, because this is Sebastian Vettel's 5th Grand Prix victory at Singapore in Marina Bay, becoming the winningest driver at the circuit. He passed Lewis Hamilton's record, which
Wow.
Lewis has 4 wins. He was my pick to win. We'll talk about Hamilton in a moment. Here's the second driver on the podium, Charles Leclerc, 8th podium this year, 3rd in the last 3 races. So he's on a roll, on a tear. He's won the pole. He's won the last 2 Grand Prix, the last 3 poles in a row. I think he's leading with poles this year.
Yeah, he has 1 more pole than Hamilton.
Just
he has
one.
5. Hamilton has 4. So that's
Max
good.
Verstappen
Oh.
started 4th. He rounds out the podium drivers. Now let's talk about the points finishers. Moving on from 4th to 10th. Lewis Hamilton started 2nd in the
Yeah.
race. Just didn't seem like he had the right car and the right setup.
One thing at the end, he tried to pass Verstappen, but Verstappen kept going in his lane and putting dirty air in front of him. So basically, Verstappen was swerving in front of him, and
man, that was-
Verstappen was doing anything to just
Yeah,
get.
You
that
could
was-
do
that
that
was
on a
kind of
city circuit,
frustrating.
mind you.
I-
that was kind of frustrating for Hamilton in a way, but
And then
Yeah.
Bottas fifth.
Bottas finished fifth, started fifth. He pretty
Yeah.
much was a little lackluster in the race.
Yeah.
Alexander Albon, his third race with Red Bull, finished
Sixth.
sixth.
Yeah, his first time at Singapore.
To
It
be
was-
honest, I still think he needs some improvement. We're
But-
still waiting for
well,
that.
Well, he never ran Singapore is the problem. F2 does not race there. Like, he's never raced at Singapore. But next race is Russia, and he's raced there, Russia, before.
We'll talk about Russia in just a moment.
Yeah.
Moving on to Lando Norris,
Yep.
seventh. Eighth place was Pierre Gasly in his third race, returning to Toro Rosso.
Yep.
Nico Hulkenberg, who's on the news about silly season, unfortunately on the negative side of things, finished ninth, scoring points. And Giovinazzi, who led a few laps in the race
Yep.
yesterday, finished
Yep.
in the 10th spot
Yeah.
with his third points-paying finish of his career. Now,
Yep.
here are the unlucky drivers. Just outside of it, in another controversial race for Romain Grosjean, 11th, who is on the news for returning to Haas. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Carlos Sainz, 12th.
Well,
Lance Stroll, and 13th, Daniel Ricciardo. Just another struggling race weekend for him, of course, after getting excluded from qualifying after the infraction, having to start in the rear, and didn't have much of a race, finished 14th. Danny Kvyat, 15th, had the contact with Kimi Räikkönen. We'll talk about that in a moment. Robert Kubica, 16th. And then here Kevin Magnussen, 17th. I thought he retired from him. He did not. He actually has the fastest lap award
but he didn't get
for the second
point.
year in a row.
Yeah.
But you don't get the point. You have to finish in a points paying spot to get the extra point.
Yeah.
Now, here are the retired drivers. Kimi Räikkönen's first retirement of the year. He had the contact with Danny Kvyat in turn 1.
Yep.
Sergio Perez had an oil leak, according to Racing Reference.
Yeah. I saw that he had smoke. He had engine issues, and then
This is the first race since Hungary Racing Point scored pointless. And George Russell's first F1 retirement of his young career.
Yeah, he had contact with Grosjean. Grosjean, he thought he was clear. Grosjean clipped him, and then he hit the wall. So yeah.
My boy Antonio Giovinazzi finished in the top 10. I can't complain. Grosjean, still useless. Haas, run by idiots.
Hey, he left. Hey, Grosjean, well, he did better than Magnussen. 17th for Magnussen.
They're both
Magnussen had early race contact.
Not just that, he did, but then he was running 13th and then fell to 17th from 13th. Like he
But
decided
had the clean racetrack for him in the back, enough for that fastest lap award.
Yeah, but he doesn't even get a point for that.
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is still the first year of the fastest lap point. Just don't forget.
Like,
it's not like it's a bad thing to get the fastest lap award. The only difference is you get a point if you finish in a points paying position.
And Carlos Sainz actually did good after being last, two laps down for most of the race. He finished 12th after being a lap down, 2 laps down most of the race. That was not bad for that McLaren, because he made contact with Hulkenberg. Literally turned turned left into his tire. I'm like, really? Hulkenberg gets lap 2.
We'll talk about Nico Hulkenberg in just a moment, because I really have a hot take on Nico Hulkenberg, because he's just that driver where you really wish that he can be out there for another season. But like, part of me says that Hulkenberg deserves a ride in 2020 or F1. If you look at his season, and it's his seasons in the past, as I'm actually going to pull it up right now on my computer. His first season was in 2010, driving for Williams, and finished 14th in the World Drivers' Championship. But if you look further on, of course, 2011 became a test driver for what was then Sahara Force India, and 2012. Now, 2012, he clicked. I remember seeing him start really close up front in the grids, but he had some top finishes, such as European Grand Prix. He got 5th and 4th at Spa. And then 3 consecutive points finishes of 7th, 6th, and 6th. Japan, Korea, and India. And then after the retirement at Abu Dhabi, he got 8th at Austin in the inaugural U.S. Grand Prix at Austin, Texas, and 5th at Brazil. And it got better, even though he moved to Sauber in 2013, just enough for 10th. And now this is where I see improvements in Nico Hulkenberg. I think it was in 2014 when he returned to Force India, when he had consecutive points finishes all the way up until Hungary, which was round 11. Now, is there any reason why he shouldn't be in that Haas car next year?
The problem about it, I feel like he could drive for better than Haas. Haas is not good. They're basically the 8th out of 10
When
team.
are we going to put the blame on the drivers?
I'm just saying. Basically, Williams is team 10. Toro Rosso's 9th. And basically, this is just basing it off my perspective is that Haas is 8th. Then 7th place would be I'm just basing off rankings. Alfa Romeo would be in front of Haas 7th. Racing Point ahead of them. Ahead of them would be Williams would be basically bottom, but before Haas would be 8th. Running bad. That's where I think their team is based in 8th. Basically, that's where I think that Haas is. They're not.
If you want to be clear, right now, their 2 drivers are 16th and 17th in the World Drivers' Championship. These are the drivers that are behind them. You cannot defend Romain Grosjean anymore. I'm a fan of Romain Grosjean. I like him. I think he's a great person and a great driver and has some talent. But it's getting to the point where the team is negatively affected by him. The results aren't showing, and they're clearly inconsistent. It's time for Romain Grosjean to join another team, or at least for the team themselves to replace Romain Grosjean. And I'm very critical this time because, a lot of fans of Haas had high hopes in them in their first year and their first 2 seasons. This is reoccurring, and Kevin Magnussen is no exception either. I'm really critical about Kevin Magnussen. He does have the talent here and there. I just don't think claiming 18 points at this time of the season is good enough.
Let me just check. I was saying about how
I wanted to agree with you on this one, Joseph.
No, I'm just saying about the team's tiering systems. I'm just checking. I was saying Williams is team 10, the 10th team. Let me see that. Okay, I got it. It's Haas is actually supposed to be Haas is 8th team out of 10. In front of them, they have McLaren, Racing Point, Renault, Red Bull, Mercedes.
Where are we at?
I'm just saying the tiering system. Basically, Toro Rosso would be ahead, but they would be 8th. Alfa Romeo's a little bit behind them, and then Williams.
Okay.
I'm just basing it.
That was my prediction actually for the start of the year, but I'm really not. Listen, I was critical about Toro Rosso last year. I didn't think Brendan Hartley had anything to prove. We have to compare Romain Grosjean this year to Brendan Hartley last year.
Well, Brendan Hartley had actually 4 points.
4 points the whole season. And compared to Pierre Gasly, who
had more.
Yeah, it's more.
Pierre Gasly is a good driver.
He's is, don't get me wrong.
Slump.
Yeah, he is a good driver.
He's better than
sophomore slump.
He's better than Hartley. Hartley was garbage.
They had to throw someone in there, and just Formula One wasn't meant for him.
Hey, guess who's back for Toro Rosso next year? The torpedo himself, Daniel Kvyat.
Listen, the good thing about Danny Kvyat, and I was funny because I was critical about him coming back. I'm like, oh boy, it's Danny Kvyat. Here we go again with more red cars. But he's impressed me. Danny Kvyat has actually proved to show that he belongs. Despite, I mean, he's 11th in the World Driver Championship. That's not bad whatsoever, and is the only driver outside the top 3 teams, excluding the likes of Gasly at one point and Albon now, that has a podium. Pretty much gave Toro Rosso something they were desperately looking for over 10 years from that surprise upset victory with Sebastian Vettel at Monza.
Here's my tier ranking in terms of the teams. I'll start from bottom up. Williams 10th, Haas 9th.
Wow.
You
I'll
can't
go on
justify
a-
that.
I'll go on a limb and I'll go with crazy. I'll say Racing Point 7th. Alfa Romeo, or no, Racing Point 8th, my bad. Alfa Romeo 7th. Toro Rosso 6th. Renault 5th. McLaren 4th. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes.
That your imaginary system, or are we reading off?
No,
owners?
this is my imaginary system.
Oh.
Owners is
I-
Williams, Haas, Alfa Romeo, Racing Point, Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes.
Well,
Well,
for
the
me, I was
constructors championships all been one-sided
Well,
this year.
well for
the
me,
three
I was
teams.
just basing it off F1 2019, how their tiering system. They basically just put Williams rock bottom and Alfa Romeo 9th. That's just where I was going on, because it's like, I just don't know about Haas, but they can't. Well, Magnussen's also the problem too. He sucks.
Magnussen sucks. Grosjean sucks. Gunther Steiner sucks. Get
Well,
all of them out.
I think they need a makeover. I'm waiting. I'm literally waiting. They can. I know this because they've had their good runs. Kevin Madison put them on a podium one.
Well, Greg
But-
Biffle. Well, just hire Greg Biffle, Jay McMurray. You're good to go.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Get rid of Grosjean. Get rid of Magnussen.
Or at least
Get rid of Gunther
Grosjean. We can
Get-
maybe work off Magnussen, but
no,
Grosjean's
no,
another.
get
No,
rid
no,
of
no.
them all.
Magnussen is sucking.
I mean,
At
Magnussen, yeah, he's pretty much sucking at this point too.
I told you.
Get
just-
rid of Magnussen. Get rid of
I
Grosjean.
told you.
Get rid of Gunther Steiner, which I don't know why.
What
more
about
people aren't
Ericsson?
talking
How
about
about
it.
do we want
Ericsson-
Ericsson?
Put Marcus Ericsson in the Haas.
Well, why haven't
And
the, why haven't
What
the
about
Marcus-
Rossi? What about some of these drivers from the
Rossi?
US?
No, Rossi has
Rossi's
a better.
got his flow going in IndyCar. I don't.
So,
think
yeah,
anyone believe.
But like I say, I
Put Nico
told you,
Hulkenberg.
Greg Biffle and Jamie McMurray could drive for Haas.
Let's be realistic.
Hey, they're gonna be. No, I'm real. They're not bad on road courses.
Can they pilot a Formula One machine?
Hey, NASCAR cars are harder to drive than a Formula One machine.
But they don't have thousands of buttons.
They just have to learn.
I'm not a Formula One driver, so don't put hate on me.
I'll just
I
go.
try.
Let's go with. Well, okay.
Okay, so they were done talking about Formula One. Let's get to the elephant in the room, IndyCar.
Oh,
Wow. So this was interesting. This is the first Monterey Grand Prix at Laguna Seca since 2004 in the Champ Car World Series took place, and of course that was good old Patrick Carpentier back to back in the Forsyth team. Now you fast forward 15 years later, the championship finale in California, which it's been taking place in the first time since the 2012 or 2012. You have all the championship races in California. After Auto Club, they moved it to Sonoma for a few years. While I'm bummed to see Sonoma off the calendar, Laguna Seca can't be a better replacement for the people in California. They still have their IndyCar. I think everyone got their money's worth to close off what was a great season of IndyCar competition. Let's start off with Colton Herta's second career win. He started first, put on a clinic leading 85 laps.
no, he actually led 83.
Oh, 83. Excuse
Yeah.
me on that. Will Power.
But
If there was like a few, like 5 or 6 more laps, Power could have caught Colton Herta. 76th career podium for Will Power. And even more impressive, Scott Dixon, the 5-time champion, scored his 115th career podium and his 10th of 2019. Was not enough for the championship, but great run for him. Simon Pagenaud, 4th place. And, of course, Felix Rosenqvist, the Rookie of the Year. Very impressive season for the young Swede in Chip Ganassi Racing. Started 14th. Rossi finished 6th. Not enough for the championship. Sebastian Bourdais, 7th. It's been a weak season for the Frenchman. And 8th place is the man of the conversation, Joseph Newgarden, who scored his 2nd career championship of the last 3 years. The 28-year-old American gave Roger Penske and the team their 16th total IndyCar title.
Yep.
The war was won by that guy. Let's hear you. Let's hear your thoughts. Come on.
Ooh. That
All right,
was
so I'm just gonna give off like some notable. I didn't see the entire race 'cause I was working for like half of it, but I'll give off the notables. Colton Herta put on a clinic. He's gonna be one to watch with him tighter and basically being in the Andretti stable now. He's gonna be one to watch for next year for the championship.
Yep.
I guarantee you, if he didn't have those 4 DNFs in a row, he would have been in that fight. Will Power at 2nd. He really turned it on in these final couple races. It was just too little too late for him to have a shot at the championship. Scott Dixon 3rd. Most podiums of the season with 10. Just not enough to win that. Those 3 DNFs really cost him. Simon Pagenaud, a complete turnaround from last season, where last season he had he only had 2 podiums and went winless and finished 7th or 8th in points. Runner-up points finish, the month of May sweep, along with the win at Toronto, a complete turnaround. Felix Rosenqvist in 5th. I'm surprised he didn't win a race this season, honestly, but he's another one to look out for in 2020. Alexander Rossi in 6th. I think Rossi, he was really a letdown in the later half of the season, especially with tracks like Mid-Ohio, Pocono, Gateway, and Portland, where they favor Rossi more than Newgarden. It should have been Rossi's title to claim, but he didn't really do anything the latter portions of the season. So what are you going to do there? Sebastian Bourdais, quiet season. I mean, this is his first winless season in how many years?
God knows how many. I'm very surprised off that, to be honest. I thought we would see more out of the multi-time champion. So 3-time champion, right? Or 4-time champion.
Maybe
okay.
the
07.
So quiet.
Yeah, maybe Dale Corin had to get stuff ready because they were focusing on, say, Tito Ferruccio for winning Rookie of the Year.
That is true. But I think, to be honest, Sebastian Bourdais is just that driver who I felt was off this year. Just didn't see it work.
All right, so going back to it, Joseph Newgarden, he finished 8th. Like I say, he led the points all season, but I had that good feeling that he's gonna let go of this championship. And like I said, he was running on the bottom half of the top 10 this race, so it was possible. But overall, great season for Newgarden. Led the points for every race except for after the Indy 500, where he trailed past by 1 point.
Yeah.
Overall, great season for Newgarden. 2 championships in the last 3 years. Can't complain about that. James Hinchcliffe in 9th. Bad season for Errol Schmidt-Peterson just in general this season. I don't think they had 1 car inside the top 10. They only had only 2 podiums on the season, so not a great season. Hopefully they could turn it around next year with McLaren. And then Ryan Hunter-Reay in 10th. Again, another just irrelevant driver this season. Yeah, Ryan Hunter-Reay, we just never talked about him. He was just irrelevant, especially after last year where he turned it on. 2 wins, a 4th place points finish. I thought he'd be in the conversation, but no, he goes winless again, and he does nothing. So I don't know. Ryan Hunter-Reay, he's starting to me become like a Ryan Blaney, where he's either winning or running top 5 one season, then the next.
He only has 18 career wins, despite the championship in 2012.
Only. But I want to give some notables of the 2019 IndyCar season. I put it on the World Racing Media on Twitter. So obviously Joseph Newgarden, the series champion. Obviously Simon Pagenaud, the Indy 500 champion. Felix Rosenqvist, the Rookie of the Year. We said it. Colton Herta, the youngest winner in IndyCar history with Circuit of the Americas, when he won at just the age of 18, and he's the first rookie to win 2 races since 2007. I forgot who the driver was. Like, and I really don't feel like looking at the policy. And then Santino Ferrucci may have not won the overall Rookie of the Year, but he was the Indy 500.
I'd give him the best improvement award.
Wait.
Like I said, Santino Ferrucci, he's going to be one of my favorite IndyCar drivers. And like I said, I think Rosenqvist and Santino are going to win a race next year. I'd be damn shocked if none of them did. I think Santino's going to be a dark horse for the Indy 500. He's going to be a dark horse just for the ovals in general. And then Scott, like I said before, the only driver with 10 plus podiums on the season with 10 in total. So those are the notables I've gotten for the season.
And also about Herta, he was also the youngest pole sitter in IndyCar history. Also,
There you go.
yeah.
And I put a post and I put a poll out on the World Racing Media Twitter at WR Media Group, by the way. I said, rate the 2019 IndyCar season. So we got 15 votes. 47% voted good, 40% voted great, and 13% voted meh. No one voted it as a 1, which means shit. So, yeah, I thought it was a good season of IndyCar racing overall.
Yeah, it was.
If you ask me, the biggest, push down was, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, IndyCar is the worst motorsport, or maybe even sport in general when it comes to marketing. IndyCar is a great product. So why did they sign these horrible TV deals with NBC? I mean, signing with NBC in general isn't bad. It's like here, let me give some examples. You put the first race of the season on cable network, on NBCSN. What kind of strategy, marketing strategy?
Listen to Justin. His country had probably the worst, the most difficult time in almost 2 decades, just trying to get TV for IndyCar. Just an actual station because Sportsnet ditched them.
Yeah, they air it on their
put it on their pricey premium network.
Sportsnet World, $20 a month. They had race 1 on their website for free. That was the only thing. Their other races were Sportsnet World or Sportsnet Now Plus, which is $39 a month.
Hell yeah!
You get the money out of your pocket.
And you have to pay $190, or you can pay $199 a year each year. But it's so dumb. And Sportsnet said they didn't have plays, but they just put re-airs of WWE half the day. It is bullcrap.
Yeah, that is really pathetic.
Yeah.
And they of course they showed the Indy Toronto on their
main network, on Sportsnet 1.
Because it's in Canada, which I think is a pathetic
and the Indy 500 also. There's and every other race is like, no, we don't have place for it. Yep, that's their reasoning.
Well, that used to be IndyCar's TV schedule. They if you look at the Champ Car TV schedule, they used to be all over the place. Even a channel like Spike TV would have a race, Speed Channel, ESPN networks.
Those were the good days, man.
CBS, TNT, not so much. I mean, those were the days of cable network, like being the everything of media. Nowadays, things changed, like watching from the internet. Streaming has become the new norm with the advent of technology. And of course, the bigger corporations like NBC Sports, Universal's buying all these other smaller subsidiaries. Like, even, I know this is a little off topic, but remember Comcast Sportsnet, CSN, NBC Sports bought, of course, Comcast, and now it's under the NBC Sports brand. It's just little things like Versus, how it was like their own separate entity until NBC bought them, which I think was in 2012. They became NBC Sports Network, but they had the partnership long before the name change.
All right, so let me get back into why I think IndyCar is the worst marketing in sports. Obviously, we go through the TV deal. We're on top of Canada, basically screwing their international market, number one. Number two, like I said, putting their first race on NBCSN, that's a horrible decision in my opinion.
Definitely.
And on top of that, putting everything behind a paywall. Like most of qualifying is
especially
on the
Indy 500 month.
All the practices are on the pay. The fact that Indy 500 practices, I don't care if they're just practices, but the fact that it's for the biggest race in the world and you still put them on NBC Gold, in my opinion, that's
Not the
unacceptable.
app, but NBC Sports Gold.
Not
Not the
That's
app.
unacceptable. in my
And day
opinion.
one of qualifying.
Well, do
And
anyone
the
else-
big wait, hold on. And the big one, in my opinion, and this is said countless of times. Why doesn't IndyCar? Oh, well, actually, two things. Number one, why does IndyCar make a damn video game? And they wonder why they only get one race a year. Two, if they're lucky, that has a TV rating over 1.0. And number two, why do they have such a big boner to get international races? You're not going to get international races in IndyCar. You're not going to. I'm going to say it straight up. IndyCar's not going to Brazil. IndyCar's not going to Australia. IndyCar's not going to Abu Dhabi. Because guess what? The teams aren't going to want to spend that much money. And I guarantee you the TV contract isn't going to work that well either. How the hell are they going to go to international markets if they keep how the hell are they going to do that when number one, they keep screwing their TV market, and number two, that guarantee you Penske, Ganassi, and Andretti, they don't want to spend all that money just to go to Abu Dhabi just because IndyCar is a boner for international markets. And again, add more races to the schedule. Do it in the freaking United States. Add more ovals. Add more tracks where tire wear matters. I don't know why IndyCar, Mark Miles, I don't know why they can't get it through their damn thick skull. IndyCar is such a good product, and they have the capacity to grow. But
I agree.
Their marketing decisions are so bad that it baffles me. They have they have ammunition, and they're just like, I'm not going to use it.
Wait, I told you.
You know what's crazy? Robin Miller warned us about this.
He did, especially after the California 500 4 years ago.
Hey, IndyCar should move to. At this point, IndyCar should move to the United Kingdom because their TV deal is actually okay. They could move. They should literally move the IndyCar to the United Kingdom because
I mean, Sky Sports just simulcasts their races.
Yeah, Sky Sports does better somehow. Sky Sports not bad. Like, it's just annoying. If Sportsnet can get their deal right, Sportsnet should just give up IndyCar and put on another network.
Yeah, and you know what? I heard they've been under controversy with their hockey coverage as well. Hockey Night in Canada when Rogers picked up CBC.
Yep.
In 2014, the Hockey Night in Canada coverage, which, if you don't know, Hockey Night in Canada is kind of like Monday Night Football. It's on every Saturday during the NHL season.
Yep.
They were under controversy, and some negative decisions were made that were unpopular right after Rogers' acquisition of CBC and Hockey Night in Canada. And of course, you look in the years later, now there's more bias to like the East Coast teams, which is another thing that the fans out of the Vancouver Canucks and Edmonton Oilers don't like, because they always bias the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. They want more games on Saturday nights. Why do you think? Well, let's be honest. What can you market? Could you market what's more marketable? A Maple Leafs Canadiens game on a Saturday night, or a Canucks Oilers game late at night on the East Coast, which has more demand for national coverage of sports in general? What do you think?
Why are we still talking about TV coverage for IndyCar?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to IndyCar in just a moment, but so I can be clear with Justin about Rogers and how they cover events. It's just the little things that upset fan bases, and to my opinion, IndyCar is no exception to how Rogers treats their fan base.
I know that's, but doing it's bad. TSN does better with Bell Media. That runs TSN. TSN does better coverage with sports. Their hockey coverage, they're good. Their
NASCAR.
They're good with NASCAR. Like, they show practice, they show qualifying, they show F1, they show all of that. They even show Formula 2. Like, they don't like skip NASCAR races. They have it on their TV channels. They don't create a special channel that costs more money. They don't just show the Daytona, the big races. They show every race. Even Xfinity. They air the Xfinity series also, which is good.
I've said it before. I mean, I'm not going to repeat myself, but again, if IndyCar put as much effort into their marketing as they would into their actual on-track product with the cars and the tracks. Even then, I'm 50-50 on the tracks, but as on their, if they would put as much effort in their marketing as they would in their on-track product, IndyCar could go places. They need to hire a new marketer, in my opinion, because whoever's doing that, whoever's being the marketer, to quote Robbie Noonan, they should get shot.
Yes.
Well,
I don't advocate for anyone actually getting shot, by the way. Let me just make that clear.
Yeah.
well, maybe IndyCar should not be on NBC. They should put on Fox. I bet Fox
No,
would do
Fox
better.
doesn't care about motorsport.
So here's the
Motorsport
thing,
really
and you
care
got to understand about
NHRA.
motorsports. Fox, of course, their priority is NASCAR. They made it clear on cutting out all of the motorsports, and with Fox Sports 1, NASCAR's their sole primary. You know, with
And even
Fox
then,
Sports,
they've not been doing a good
NASCAR
job.
and the
of it
NFL and MLB. That's all you got, really. And I think now we got
NHRA.
an HRA, which is their newest motorsport.
They
And
have,
even then, I'm of the opinion that Fox has been doing horrible these past 2 years.
They've had, and I think they need to just get it together again so they become likable like they were in the past. But I just want to go back to what Justin said. If they go to Fox, and the thing is, each broadcasting corporation has contracts for the marketing, advertisements. You can see how ABC, basically the Walt Disney company, they used to invest so much in IndyCar, especially back in, even once, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was it 1992 Indy 500? Mickey Mouse and like all these Disney people were singing Back Home Again in Indiana. And that's how much they invested.
Yeah,
in,
Mickey Mouse came back from the TV.
pretty much. And let's just be honest here. That kind of endorsement that you've seen in the past is no longer there. And that's why eventually ABC and ESPN, they flaked off IndyCar after 2018. You could tell how they slowly declined, really ever since NASCAR left ESPN networks after 2014. The slowly digression of IndyCar coverage soon to be followed. And I'm not surprised.
I was looking here. 8 races are going to be on NBC. 8 of the 8 races of IndyCar will air on NBC. The rest will all be NBCSN. Like the first 4 races of the season, NBCSN. Then the next 4, that's basically Detroit and the Indy week, basically Indy and Detroit will be NBC. Then Texas back on NBCSN. Then Road America, NBC. NBCSN for 3 races in a row with Richmond, Toronto, Iowa. NBC Mid-Ohio. Then Gateway, NBCSN. And the final 2 races of the season will be NBC at Portland and Laguna Seca. That's the problem. Like, with NBCSN, people can't afford the channel. NBC
Right.
Sports,
Not everybody can.
NBC Sports Gold.
I can't even afford NBC Sports Gold.
Like at least like if
Who
it was,
wants NBC Sports Gold?
Like-
This is another problem with, and especially this year with motocross racing. This is the first season that Fox, and I forgot to mention because IMSA and motocross left the Fox networks, which had regular TV coverage, even though most of it was paid cable, like Fox Sports 1 and NBCSN. Well, now we're on the NBC side of things, so NBCSN. Their marketing antics have put motocross fans on the bad side of things by using NBC Sports Gold for live events.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad, man. It really is.
Especially
Especially
think that
in the beginning of the season, in some future races, which I'm a fan of motocross myself, and I even gotta say this is ridiculous.
It's well, not just that, IMSA coverage too.
Yeah.
NBC. Why on the app? The whole 6 hours.
Listen, the app is okay because
But-
it's a lot more accessible for people to
but
have
so-
the NBC
Hello,
Sports app.
computer.
But wait.
But NBC Sports Gold. Now, here's the thing: all the live motocross events were on NBC Sports Gold. While most of the IMSA races could be seen on the app, the accessible free app.
Yeah, but the problem with the app, some people don't.
People are paying $60 a month from motocross racing. They have to be diehard fans.
$60 a month. It's $60 a year.
Oh,
For NBC Sports Gold.
Oh.
But for the NBC Sports app, some people don't know that their parents wouldn't let them use their TV, like they're basically their TV provider account. Some parents don't let people like use it. That's another thing.
And it does put a lot of heat on my phone and
yeah,
storage too. I'd rather watch if I would watch through the app. I'd use the tablet.
Or you just go on their website, the NBC Sports website, do all that, because like it's just so annoying with TV deals. Like IndyCar's deals are crap. I don't know. With them leaving ABC last year, worldwide coverage.
I think we all saw that coming, to be honest.
But like I didn't expect to see IndyCar on Sportsnet World. I thought it was still going to be Sportsnet 360 airing.
I mean, listen, Sportsnet 360 should have just done it anyways. I mean, can they put it on the regional networks, like let's say Sportsnet West, which has the Prairies, and or Sportsnet Ontario, maybe for you Sportsnet East.
Yeah, they can. They've done it 2014 to 2015.
Yeah, the regional networks.
They've done that for years. But then they stopped. They did that from 2011 to 2015. 2016, that's where they put on Sportsnet 360. Last year, in 2018, they did good. They aired all the races, even when they were rain delayed, like put to the next day, they aired on Sportsnet 360.
With Sportsnet 360 used to be called the score.
Yeah, and then now they're more focusing on some hockey, but mainly re-airs of WWE and Sportsnet Central. They're not focusing on live events.
Yeah, and that's a major concern. I think. Well, let's talk about the scheduling though, because we talked about TV as one part of the IndyCar problem when it comes to marketing. No video game is also part of the problem, which I mean is a positive on the motocross side of things, because I think David Land, if you watch David Land on YouTube, I'm sure Armani you do.
Oh yeah,
a lot of that motocross game.
Yeah, they have two of them. They have Motocross, Monster Energy Supercross 1 and 2. So yeah, they have games.
It's the first time they really actually made a game surrounding that discipline of racing. And IndyCar should do the same. They haven't made a game since IndyCar Series 2005, which I have on my original Xbox. I played it last May, to be honest. Actually, this past May during Indy 500 during all that hype. And it's a fun game by Codemasters.
The only recent thing with IndyCar you see is like simulators, like Forza. Forza, you have it in there, but it's
like an actual sponsored game with the title.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The series drivers. That's what the fans want in the end. But let's talk about tracks, and this is another aspect of racing that kind of gets me going a little bit. And the tracks for IndyCar racing we know they change through the years. We know that that they change a lot during because the split, especially after the split in 1996 with the advent of the IRL. Well, the kart guys, continued on being the primary IndyCar series until things kind of switched. Was the IRL got more popular heading into the mid 2000s, while the Champ Car World Series became international during the Sebastian Bourdais regime when he won those 4 consecutive championships. But I think there's still room for improvements when it comes to these tracks. And here's what I'll say. The circuits they go to, we neglected the ovals. This is in which kind of bother me, because say what you want about safety. I understand it's in the end it's IndyCar racing, but they dropped so much speedways. Now the really only 2 speedways on like traditional super speedways. We got Indy 500, of course, the traditional race, and then Texas. We lost Pocono 4 years ago. We had that terrible, that awfully California 500 that was terribly promoted, and
Yep.
it shows if you look in the grandstands of the 2015 California 500.
There's
was
barely anyone there.
Barely anyone in the stands,
And,
which was a letdown. But moving on, we could see like there had other concepts that failed. The Baltimore Grand Prix, which was horrendously bad with the surface and what transpired there, of course. Let's just move on and let me tell you what else took place. We had tracks in the past like Edmonton. I love the Edmonton airport, and I know, of course, the airport's no more, so that's why they left after 2012. But I think that race was very underrated, especially Sao Paulo. 2013 Sao Paulo race is like a movie to me. I can watch it all day, and like you could feel excited even though the race was not live, or it's not live when you watch it. It's like just a movie. Everything hypes up to the end. I think we need to return to Surfers Paradise, to be honest, on the same weekend. If we can have the season finale at Surfers Paradise on the weekend of the Gold Coast 600, that's golden. And let's see other schedules. Remember the Cleveland Airport?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I remember.
Let's see, the streets of Las Vegas, site of Will Power's first win. I remember watching that race, the Las Vegas Grand Prix 2007, as a little kid. It was one of my first few IndyCar races, and I was just intrigued watching Will Power going around that circuit. And it had a little tunnel, kind of reminiscent to Monaco. Just a little bit of a tunnel in that last portion of the track, with commentary crews of Bill Weber and Wally Dallenbach and Marty Snyder, people that I know from NASCAR. So I'm like, okay, these people are from NASCAR. What are they doing here? And watching Will Power win that Champ Car race was golden. And
wow.
and this guy's name is Will Power. What an awesome name! Like just think from a second grade perspective.
Oh.
Yeah.
Will Power.
Well, for me, the only IndyCar race, my first IndyCar race I actually watched was 2014 ABC Supply 250 at, was it 250? I don't remember the name.
Are you thinking about the 500 at Pocono?
No, it was not Pocono. It was Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Mile. There's another track we need back on the schedule.
Yeah,
but Milwaukee has management issues.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, man.
That was my first race I watched in IndyCar, and that
the first race that I watched was the 2011. No, it was 2009 race at Texas, man. That was epic. That was a good race.
Wait, I found it. ABC Supply Wisconsin 250 was called. And that was on Sportsnet East, the final race on the regional networks. So, yeah, that last race was actually 2015. That was won by...
My first IndyCar race was 2009 at Texas.
I do remember a few things like the 2006. And here's another track, Homestead. If you remember the 2006 a Toyota Indy 300 at Homestead, it's just watching those last 10 laps, you were like completely engaged. These two cars side by side, they're just swapping positions for the lead. Like it just jaws dropped. Like, wow, these guys are the best drivers in the world. And Dan Wheldon winning by a nose was just like icing on the cake.
Yeah, man.
I want to see Homestead back on the calendar.
Same. My PP would be hard.
Dude, that was an epic race.
It was, and I'm not gonna forget what happened with Paul Dana. That was terrible, but still, like, just the aspect of racing, and like, let's throw in another track, Phoenix. We lost Phoenix, and now they have a different layout. So
to be fair, the Phoenix wasn't that good to begin with.
Well, it was good in 2018 at the end.
All right.
Yeah, the ending was good. That's only because Newgarden had better tires than everyone.
Yeah, it was. Well,
What about? Let me throw in another track that that will catch everyone's eye. I think needs to return to the schedule.
Nazareth.
Okay, let's be real. As
No,
much
they
as I
should.
want to see Nazareth back on the schedule, it's a bunch of weeds and trees and just overgrown shit.
Hey, they should build Airbase Speedway again. That
Oh my god.
How about this even crazy?
Bristol.
Okay, now you're crazy.
Hey, they raced at Dover. They could race at Bristol.
Okay.
As long as they don't go
Dover's
to Kentucky.
ideal, and I don't know why they put the IRL at Dover, to be honest, but like
As long as they don't go to Kentucky.
Yeah.
they used to race in Kentucky back.
Yeah.
I hate Kentucky with the passion. I don't care.
What about Chicagoland? Just ideas. I think we need more ovals. We need a few races outside the country. I'd say primarily focus on Canada, although I want to see the racing return to Mexico City because that's another great circuit. I don't care about the layout. Say what you want.
Whoa.
Each and every layout is great. I want to see the return to Mexico City, but unfortunately, we can't get the Edmonton Airport return. Let's just bring back
Wow.
Vancouver Street Circuit. How about that?
That would be cool. That would be. What was
Brands
that?
Hatch. Brands Hatch, anyone? Vancouver's last race was 2004, and Paul Tracy won there 3 times. Al Hunter Jr. won 3 in a row there. He has the most wins with 4. But like, there's so much things you could do with the IndyCar schedule.
Hey, I was looking about Paul Tracy, Michelle Jourdain Jr. second, and Allmendinger got third. Okay. That was long.
Here's another idea.
Hello, we're gonna computer.
Watkins Glen should return to the calendar.
Agreed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but problem. What race of the season?
And here's
Add
another
more.
controversy too, because now NBC Sports Group, made really was probably made the decision for all these sports schedules, especially for NASCAR and IndyCar, because of this gap in the Olympic break that we're having.
The Olympics.
Have you noticed
No,
most of the
NBC
NASCAR
will-
realignment for 2020 is based on the Olympic schedule?
But the problem, there's only one series of NASCAR going to run during the Olympics. Xfinity is going to have 2 races during the Olympics.
But primarily the Cup Series. I'm sure they can
The
get
Cup
someone
Series,
else for the
yeah.
Xfinity
Yeah,
race.
the Cup Series.
You know
that-
why they're trying to get those broadcasters in Tokyo, Japan next year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
And speaking of Japan,
You know, they
Suzuka
love-
should have an IndyCar race.
wait.
I'm of the opinion that IndyCar needs to stop focusing on going international. Like I said before, with how badly they screwed out the TV deal, and considering they only have 17 races on the schedule, we lack so many ovals, so many issues with the schedule, in my opinion. IndyCar needs to stop going with this international idea. Stay local, stay at least in North America, primarily in the United States and Canada. Bring more ovals to the track. I have a controversial opinion. I know Toronto is one of the, we'll just call it, just because until I can figure out a better term, crown jewel of the IndyCar calendar. But it's not, in my opinion, the races have just been poor these last couple of years. I think unless they change something with the layout, Toronto has to go put in. I keep forgetting the name of the circuit that Formula One races on, but that's my opinion. Or go to most sport.
Montreal.
Yeah,
Montreal used to be on the schedule under
what
the
about,
Champ Car side.
but what
or at a
about,
second race at Montreal.
Montreal would be golden.
Double down on the Canada
They have
coverage.
a great
Or-
fan base.
or what
Probably the
about
most passionate fans.
what about most sport?
Most sports, another example which we see.
Yeah,
We got the endurance racing
More sports.
in Ontario.
I'd like to see here, if you're gonna do this, here's what I'd say: 2 races in Canada. If obviously they're gonna keep one of them Toronto, even though I'm not a fan of the racing there. Go to most sport, in my opinion. I think it'd be more entertaining from an entertainment perspective. Because at the end of the day, say what you want about entertainment. That's what sports are about.
Yeah.
Bring more ovals to the track and stop with this. And IndyCar, like I said before, stop with this idea of, we don't want any more American tracks. We want to go international. It's not gonna happen.
Where
Let's
I-
go.
I-
Let's go back to reality here. They're not going to get a
Exactly.
race in Japan. They're not going to get a the closer
Brands
that
Hatch, come on.
the closer they're going to
They
get.
didn't race in Europe. When's the last time they had a race in Europe?
But I'm saying like you could say like, oh, if you want it or not. At the end of the day, how likely is that going to happen?
Yeah.
It's not going to be that likely.
It's
Especially
not for
process.
another 10, 15 years. So what are we going to keep doing? We're just going to keep flip-flopping the schedule for another 10, 15 years?
That's
you
my
keep doing
problem.
that, you're just going to make the situation even worse. So that's what I'm
No.
saying.
How about the Boston
should-
Grand Prix that didn't come to fruition, which I'm really upset about? And
Hey,
if
they
you
sh-
know, you see my
they
hat there. That was a race I was really looking forward to.
They should.
We talk
Hot.
about the hat of shame.
I told you. I told you. They
Yeah,
they
yeah, we got
they
you
sh-
there, Joseph.
You happy
they
now?
should. Hey, they should do a combo race with F1.
I like that.
Good and bad. I mean, listen, Supercars
How-
does that. Does the on F1's opening weekend in Melbourne? The Supercars have 4 races.
No,
At
I mean
Albert Park.
IndyCar and F1
Yeah,
in the
no,
same
If
race
if that can
together.
happen, then so
the
can
problem with
IndyCar.
collaboration races is you get to the question of what's the main event.
No, I mean like if they're
True.
in the if they're
Well,
in the
we know
same,
the main event's going to be the F1 race, regardless, because the F1 is on a much more broader standpoint when it comes to fan base and relevance, just international relevance in general. I mean, IndyCar does have international relevance, but F1, of course, is always going to be the main platform of
wait.
certain things.
I was
Like you
checking.
can't do that with a NASCAR race because a NASCAR race is
Wait.
probably going to have more fans.
Wait,
support.
I was checking, and there is 2 Xfinity races during the Olympics next year at Iowa and Road Americas. So yeah,
All right, so NBC basically doesn't need Dave Burns and Dale Jarrett. Doesn't
They can
surprise
have
me.
me. That's when I'm going to be on TV. Just
what
saying,
about
I
who's going to be your color commentator?
might just be you, might just be Armani and Danny
gonna-
down the pit.
I'm gonna be on the track. You're gonna be talking about me wrecking. You're gonna be talking about wrecking the 2020
NBC,
champ,
if
Mike
you-
Harmon.
Yeah, bro.
NBC,
And who's
I hope
going to
you're
be
watching.
We also need pit reporters.
You're gonna be watching. You're gonna be
come on,
talking about me
NBC.
wrecking 2020 champ Mike Harmon.
Oh come on, Mike Harmon.
Yeah, man.
Mike Harmon's probably going to star in Park.
Armani seemed to
drive for Mike Harmon.
Joseph
Keep
just
it up.
Joseph's just like Armani seems to have gotten loose there, but it looked like he just drove
If
straight
you keep
into
it up,
the
you'll
back
drive
of
for Mike
Thickmore.
Harmon. Just saying.
Ugh.
Hey, Mike Harmon, if you need a driver, I don't care if you're just starting Park. I got you, my guy.
I'd love to start from Park for Mike Harmon too, so I can be
Don't
on
listen
Racing
to
Reference
him.
and look
I
like
have
a-
30.
look like an angel
I
on
have
Racing Reference.
37. I have 37 wins out of 80 races at K1 speed. I have a resume.
Well, you have to race.
My last go kart win was at Boomers.
Hey! By the way, you have to drive. You have to race late models before moving up the rank.
Yeah, because now
Mike Harmon, if you're listening, let's make this deal happen.
Get a license. And
Mike,
then you have to do all these interviews with your little Xfinity Series patch on your chest,
I
we
don't care.
can-
I say I'm in. I'll be like, yeah, hell yeah.
and you'll
I'm
be
an
like the
Xfinity
next
driver.
big thing. You know,
I'm an Xfinity driver. I don't
names are
care
made
if I make-
here.
I don't care
Oh.
if he tells me to put it in next lap. I'll be like, okay, I'm an Xfinity driver now.
Yeah.
Go big time racing.
What happens if you pull Landon Castle? and
I don't
qualify
care.
like
I'm an Xfinity. Hey, if I qualify inside the top 15 in a Mike Harmon car,
then bravo.
I'm a god.
Yeah.
Yeah, bravo it is.
I'm a god. I'm literally just gonna put a post on Instagram and just look at the qualified time and just put I am God.
Okay,
Okay, I think we're done talking about
Yeah.
the IndyCar.
you,
Let's
you
get
guys
the
ready to talk
actual-
about?
Let's get to the next weekend.
Oh yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk about miscellaneous. This is just the outside races that took place. Let's start off with the Spa 4-hour endurance for round 5 and 6, the European Le Mans Series, which is the only sports car race of the weekend in the major series. LMP2 United Autosports number 22 finished first in the class and overall. Second place was Cool Racing number 37. Graf third, number 31 car. G Drive Racing number 26 finished fourth, and Duquesne Engineering number
Crap.
30 got the 5th place finish. Now, LMP3 results. Here's the top 5 listed here. Euro International number 11 scored the class win. Inter Europol Competition number 13 got the 2nd place spot. Finishing third is the number 7 car, which is the Nielsen Racing team. And Ultimate number 17 finished 4th. United Auto Sports number 13 5th. Now, here are the only 6 LMGTE cars that finish in the race. I usually talk up top 5s, but since there were 6 cars, I'll just list them all. It was all Ferraris, except for one Porsche. The number 51 Loserage Racing Ferrari scored the LMGTE win. If you don't know, that class consists of those are cars that are from the GTE AM class in the WEC and Le Mans. The number 77 Dempsey Proton Porsche, the only Porsche in the class, finished 2nd. Number 55 Spirit of Race Ferrari 3rd. Kessel Racing number 83 Ferrari 4th. And the Kessel 60 car got 5th. And the JMW Motorsport Ferrari number 66 finished 6th. The next race is the season finale for the European Le Mans Series, the 4 Hours of Portimao on October 27th, round 6 of 6. Moving on to, you guys have anything to say, first of all, about the sports car race?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to the Shave. That there'll be some foreshadowing of the WEC events if you watch the European Le Mans Series and IMSA sometimes. But let's go on to the
Wait a minute. Before we continue, Ed Jones looked at my Instagram story. Hell yeah.
Bravo. Okay, let's move on to the regional races for NASCAR home tracks. NASCAR for the Canada East Series, round 11 of 12 at Loudon, New Hampshire. Ty Gibbs scored his maiden win, leading 112 laps. Tanner Gray 2nd, Josh Berry 3rd, Spencer Davis 4th, Sam Mayer 5th, and I wrote down Chase Cabri 6th because he did lead 13 laps. The point standings look like this with one race remaining. Sam Mayer is the championship leader with 30 points over Chase Cabri. Spencer Davis minus 42, Tanner Gray minus 48 in 4th, and Max McLaughlin minus 61 5th in the standings. The next race will be the season finale at Dover in 2 weeks' time for round 12 of the 12 race calendar. On to NASCAR Pinty Series racing, which took place also at Loudon, New Hampshire. This past Saturday, Andrew Ranger led 8 laps, just 8 laps in order to claim the victory. Alex Labe 2nd, DJ Kennington 3rd, Pete Shepard the 3rd finished 4th, M.A. Cameron 5th, and Kevin Lacroix wrote him down. He finished 12th and had the contact on the final lap, led 92 laps.
Yeah.
And scored in the 12th place position. There is a championship battle on the line in the NASCAR Pinty Series before they head into Hamilton, Ontario this upcoming weekend for the Pinty Fall Brawl Jukasa Speedway. The season finale. Before we talk about that, the point standings look like this. Andrew Ranger has an 11-point lead over Kevin Lacroix. LP Dumoulin is 3rd. DJ Kennington 4th, minus 65. And Jason Hathaway is 5th, minus 71. And round 13 to complete the season is at Hamilton this weekend. Whelen Modified Tour Racing had their flagship event for the Musket 250 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon. Bobby Santos III led only 5 laps of the 250 lap event to score the win. John McKennedy 2nd led 93 laps. Doug Kobe, who had the lead just for a brief moment before they took the checkered flag, he got passed. He led 9 laps, finished 3rd. Haas failed 4th place. Justin Bonsignor 5th, led 41 laps. And I wrote down Ronnie Silk. He finished 22nd and led 56 laps, second most of the race. So the championship standings look like this. Doug Kobe has a 21-point lead over Justin Bonsignor.
Oh, God.
Ronnie Silk is 3rd, minus 64. Craig Lutz. 4th, minus 77. And Eric Goodell is 5th, minus 125. And the next race is at Stafford, Connecticut.
On Sunday,
On Sunday, round 15 of 16. So I think we read that down. Let's talk about Indy Lights real quickly.
Wait. I just wanted to say about the modifieds. There's probably going to be a brawl a little bit going into Stafford between Sam Ramo getting hit by Bonsignor and
Or
him
some
getting-
long memories. We'll have
You
to see.
saw
Yeah, he was
Ramo.
furious.
Ramo flipped off Bonsignor. He was really mad.
I guess Joseph Monsignor is
Ooh.
reminded he's number one. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that. In the last race in the others category, we have Indy Lights, which we'll
Yep.
cover more going into the next year.
Yeah.
But the final race weekend of the season took place for round 17 of 18 at Indy Lights. There were two races at Laguna Seca. Round one, VK won over Salary, McGinnis, Askew, Malukas, Kellett, Norman, and Cole. That's your top 8. And race 2 for round 18 of 18, we had VK. So he swept the race weekend. Askew second, Salary third, McGinnis fourth, Norman fifth, Dalton Kellett, Malukas, and Lucas Cole. All right, and the final standings for the 2019 Indy Lights Championship had Oliver Askew winning the championship, 21 points over VK, Salary third, Norman and McGinnis. So that's the end of the 2019 Indy Lights
Wait.
series. Let's talk about upcoming races.
Oh goodness.
I'm ready.
Ooh.
All right, so here's what we got. Let me know if I'm missing anything. We got Xfinity Cup at the Roval. We got F1 in Russia, Mother Russia, and we got the IMSA season finale at Road Atlanta. Am I missing anything?
No.
Oh, wait, then is it? No?
IMSA's all the
IMSA
way in
not-
October. That's
not-
in October.
Oh, okay. Well, ignore what I said about IMSA.
Yeah, there's no IMSA.
But in
race.
sports car racing, we do have the season finale for the Blancpain GT Championship at Barcelona this weekend.
Yeah.
Move on to the racing at the Charlotte Roval. This is the second
Oh.
running of the road course. So I'll just break down race history. This used to be the Charlotte 500 for a brief moment in time. And the first race was under a 400-mile event won by Speedy Thompson in 1960. And the first Charlotte 500 was won by Leroy Yarbrough in 1966.
I have
First
his
road-
diecast.
The first road course race was ran last year, won by Ryan Blaney. So, of course, the most wins is Brian Blaney. The most team wins is
Ryan Blaney undefeated at the Charlotte Roval.
But if you look at, further
That's only-
back in the Charlotte 500, you remember some upset victories? Like Jamie McMurray.
2002. Yeah, that was really upset. Yep. And also, the problem about the Roval, how Blaney won, was the chaotic with Keselowski running into the tire barrier and everybody, some other drivers followed him in the tire barrier.
It's like, oh, let me come with you.
I'm like, really? Most of the drivers were the barrier.
That race was funny. The ending was
Yeah.
depressing, but that race was funny.
And let's not forget the melee with Truex and Johnson.
I don't want to hear it.
Dude.
Well, what's
I
in
was
store
so
next? Because
heartbroken.
this is only the second time they've raced in this variation of the Charlotte racetrack.
Yeah.
And
the
let's
only-
just talk about the race, for example. This is a 400-kilometer event and a
Yep.
109-lap race.
Yep. And also, remember, new chicane down the back straightaway. That isn't new. This is the first time they're using it because last year you saw how it was. They didn't have to literally slow down as
You
much.
had to go
Now-
like one lane. It was not a passing zone. You flung through the chicane.
yeah. Here you have to slow down. You
You got to
really
process through the chicane this time.
Yeah, and it is hard to pass, and the turtles are still on the track. Just so yeah, that's.
I
the
still think
issue.
they need to do something about that final chicane before they cross the start finish line. They
Yeah,
they need to do something where if you slip up, you're not going to slide through like Jimmy Johnson did.
Shut up.
Well,
wanna
not
hear
just
it.
him. Hey, Keselowski and Truex spun out in there too at one point. Of the
Joseph.
race.
Do we need to get the How to Shave back?
No,
Hey, the
no,
kind of
no.
shame is actually the 2011 had a fame.
Well,
Yeah,
No,
we're
we're
not in
not.
2011 now, aren't we?
No, we're not.
I wish I had a St. Louis Blues hat. I could have.
See, I walked into. I want to make a little anecdote here because I know it's not way off topic, but I walked into Pizza Time. I didn't know what Pizza Time was I think you all know the story. With the Boston Bruins cap with my dad, right? And we didn't know that Roberto Luongo's father-in-law is the owner of the chain, and back then he was the goaltender of the Vancouver Canucks. And if you watch the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, it was a heartfelt series. One of the most crazy series in hockey of all time in the playoffs. Boston winning in 7 games, upsetting Vancouver fans, and especially Roberto Luongo, who, I mean, he didn't get the Stanley Cup in his entire career. But so I walked into that restaurant. I didn't know he owned the place. And yeah, I was getting, people were just yelling at me like, "Oh, there's a Bruins fan," and like, no way, like in his Italian accent. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Grazie.
Yeah, something like that. Just the opposite.
Forza Ferrari.
And then I learned, that Umberto Scipione, I think that's his name. If I said his last name wrong, I apologize. And I realized, like, my gosh, these people own the place, because when he first was in the Florida Panthers, he found his wife there in 2004. So just a little anecdote. If you want to call it a hat of shame, good for you, Armani. You can play Gloria all you want. The St. Louis Blues will not repeat in 2020. I'm sorry.
Play it now, and I ain't trying to get copyright.
I know. We don't need a copyright strike. But if the Bruins falter, at least the Florida Panthers have something to cheer for. And, we know the Panthers have something to prove.
They lost against Montreal twice.
It's a preseason game.
Well,
Montreal.
Montreal.
Hockey. This is racing.
I know. We'll
You can
definitely
always
bring
beat
more
the
hockey into this sooner or later,
You
because
can
the
always
regular
beat the
season does start
Dolphins.
today, next week. Actually, October 2nd.
Yeah, October 2nd.
That's on a Wednesday
All right,
night.
let's get back
Wait,
on.
wait.
Okay, let's get back
on-
into the anecdote.
Let's
You
get
want to
back
call it
on
a hat
track.
of shame.
Who do you
Just
guys?
say your 7-time champions days are done. Moving on.
All right, okay, hold on.
It's true.
Hold
It's
on.
true.
Hold on.
Joseph,
Hold
do not go there. Do
I'm
not
just-
go there.
Well,
They turn into Dale
the-
Jr. fans real
the
quick.
only person that could win a championship when Hendrick recently could be Chase Elliott.
Yeah. But let's move
Joseph,
on. Okay,
Joseph,
back to the
Joseph,
Charlotte Roval.
Joseph. I'm about to risk this copyright strike.
That's for you, Joseph. That's for you, okay?
This is for the Jimmy Johnson fans.
Okay,
You want
guys.
to go to war?
Yeah. At least my driver made
Watch. Just watch.
the playoffs.
We'll leave our nuts hanging out of your mouth.
All right, guys,
Exactly.
let's get back into the realm of things.
All
because we
right,
are
all
on
right,
air.
back
We
to-
do
back
need
to
be
the
a little more
topic.
appropriate.
Back to the topic at hand. The Roval races. Who do you guys got for the cup race?
Ooh.
Well, I try
have
to
no
I try to
idea.
process
I really
ways to
don't have
murder
a single
Joseph.
clue. I don't have a clue.
You know what? I think we all saw what happened last year, but I'm gonna have to go with Truex, man. The guy nearly had
fire.
it before. What?
He's just on fire now.
Yeah,
regardless
man.
of the track history.
I think he could go for a three-peat in the first round of the playoffs for sure. But if not Truex, then I'm gonna have to go with Keselowski.
And Brad Keselowski's not a bad pick. I think he's got something to prove because Brad's been a little lackluster lately, hasn't he?
All right, so I'll get my pick while you guys figure out yours. I'm going with everyone said that the Roval's a wild card, and everyone's been doubting this driver basically the entire season. This driver dominated the Roval last year, won stage 1, and probably would have won the race if Brad Keselowski didn't decide to act like the tire barrier was a drive-through at McDonald's.
Only to
I'm
find out
going-
there's no ice cream.
Yeah, that was Brad Keselowski's everyone's reaction to the ice cream machine being broken. I'm going with Kyle Larson to get the job done at the Roval.
Joey
Ooh.
Logano is going to win at the Roval.
I want Jimmy Johnson to win now just so he can shove it in Joseph's face.
Yeah,
I'm a Jimmy fan. Don't worry. It's just his fans that I hate. I mean, listen, they're either
Bumps,
remain.
you hate us.
They're
Hey,
remains of the
oh,
deal. Junior
calm
fans
Calm
that have had
down, calm
problems
down,
with in the past.
calm down.
Now
Listen, you
really wanna
guys.
start a
Okay,
war,
so here,
Joseph.
how's
Now
the
you
Junior
really wanna
fans?
start a
They
war.
leave. They end up. Okay, here's Chase Elliott. We're going this way. There's Jimmy Johnson. We're going to go that way.
All right, all
It's a
serious.
two-way
Why
street
award,
here.
Joseph? You got one.
All right. Let's get serious on this.
But I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
Jimmy
okay.
Johnson does have a chance to win the race. I just don't think that
All right, let's get serious.
he's
on
going to win
this.
anywhere else.
Ooh, my pick. I have to make sure I have it right. My pick. He won the poll last year. Wait, did he? I'm just making sure.
He did. If you're thinking of the right driver, he did.
I'm just making sure. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be.
What manufacturer does he drive for?
He drives for the same team as Kyle Larson.
And yes, you are correct.
Yes, Kurt Busch. I bet Kurt Busch is going to win and make it to the round of 12, and he'll basically just eliminate William Byron.
Not a bad pick at all.
So, yeah, Kurt Busch is going to win at the Roval.
I'm
All
going
right.
with Logano for some reason. I just think it's going to be all 22. Maybe that I'm wearing a yellow shirt.
Maybe
All right,
that's
Greg.
going
Maybe I'm Greg from the Wiggles. Who knows?
Sam Adams beard.
to be
Joseph talks trash on Jimmy Johnson. Me and Danny load shotgun malicious intent.
Yes.
War
All
of
right, let's-
2019.
All right, let's get to the. All right, who do you guys got winning the Xfinity race at the Roval?
Oh, goodness.
All right, let's just talk about the Xfinity race real quick. Okay, just the history of the track. The first race was in 1982 at Charlotte 300, won by Darrell Waltrip. 2018, the first road course race, won by Chase Briscoe. So, of course, Chase Briscoe and Stewart Haas Racing have
Undefeated.
the most wins with one. I love saying that.
Roush Racing. You mean Stuart Haas Racing?
Stewart Haas Racing.
I think you said Roush.
Maybe my brain. See, if I'm not in tune with my brain, I'm saying the
That's
wrong
what
thing.
happens when we talk shit on Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the keynote. Last year's race was a 200-kilometer distance, 55 lap.
We live in America, Joseph.
Now
Give us
it's a
American
250
metric.
kilometer and 67 lap event.
Yeah, 12 laps longer.
Will that have an impact on the race?
I don't know. Maybe,
Maybe
I
on
don't
fuel
think-
mileage?
I
Fuel
think it
mileage,
was,
yeah.
it was close on fuel last year for 55 laps, so they might have an end or pit stop instead of.
All I know is that race last year was so short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
55 laps was a little short. The
I-
race finished like 30 minutes before the scheduled time window for NBCSN. So that was weird. So
I
that's
think
why they.
67 laps is good. It's like more of a Grand Prix distance.
Yeah, So that's from the Xfinity series.
That's a tough
Uh,
call.
There's a lot of good drivers in there.
And not just playoff drivers, too. You may have some road course ringers entering the entry list.
I know. Allmendinger's, he's going to be in the race. That's the only one I know. Harrison Burns in the race. He's never ran the Roval, so I don't. Yeah, there's other drivers running. Ryan Truex, he's going to be in the race too, in the 8. The entry list is not up, but the things I know, I've seen Junior Motorsports say that Ryan Truex will be driving this weekend. So this is going to be hard.
Well, I'll
A
get
tough
my
pick.
pick out. I'll get
Tough
my pick out now. I got Austin Cindric winning. He won the pole last year.
Yeah, he did, and he.
What a good
Yeah,
chunk of
he
laps,
did.
too.
Yeah, he did. He did good. So, who?
I just want to pull up his race from last year. It was a road course. He finished third, and actually he led 13 laps. So over Chase Briscoe. That's a tough one. I think. I honestly don't know who's going to win the race. I mean, unless Brendan Gaughan's on the entry list, which he is not.
No, he's not in the race. He's not scheduled. But I'm just checking.
Catherine Legg last year. I don't think she's returning.
Catherine
No.
Legg's winning the race.
Catherine
In a
Legg.
Johnny Davis car.
You
She
know what?
finished-
Wait a minute, Danny. Danny, you there?
AFK.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we were gonna pick Mike Harmon and BJ McLeod to let the other boys catch up.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Seriously?
Danny, we gotta let the boys catch up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like let's just let them catch up. So I'll go with Thick Boy. You go with McLeod.
I'm gonna have to go with Stenhouse, man.
It's not in the Xfinity race.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to pick. Yeah, let's pick BJ McLeod, man.
McLeod.
He just said screw it. Actually give me BJ McLeod. I'll put that down.
BJ. Oh God, BJ McLeod. That would be the weirdest field mileage. And
It
Rick
will
Allen.
not happen. I'd be surprised
No,
if he's
no,
still
no.
on the racetrack after 10 laps.
No, do you want to what? And then Rick Hendrick.
Oh,
Not Rick
Danny,
Hendrick.
thanks
Rick,
for the championship.
Hey, Rick Allen. Off turn 17, BJ McLeod wins at the Roval.
If Peter McLeod wins at the Roval, I'm just retiring from everything. Life, World Racing Media, my job. I said for life.
Yeah, BJ McLeod.
Damn well, I ain't gonna pick BJ McLeod, man.
All right.
I'm gonna have to extend my points lead for that, man.
If Peter McLeod wins, I will give you 30 points.
30.
Nah, I doubt it will ever happen.
I
but-
don't think BJ McLeod was he even in
I'll
the
just
race.
give you the championship. Then they'll be like, no,
Wait,
Danny wins.
wait. Cindric is locked in the playoffs, right?
Cindric,
No,
Yeah,
he's like
he's-
34 points above, and I already picked
not
Cindric.
enough. Not
Yeah,
enough.
I'm gonna have to pick Cindric too. Sorry.
Now I gotta make a different pick.
I'm going to pick AJ Allmendinger.
You know what? Because like I said, me and Danny are on the dead heat for this championship. I almost put Chase Cindric, Chase Briscoe. I'm having him go back to back.
Oh, my pick. My pick for the
Your
Roval.
pick.
My pick for the Roval.
Your pick.
Wait, let me see again. Wait, damn it, I closed on my phone. I wanted to see what this dude finished. See who I'm going with because I almost picked.
Don't even.
I almost picked someone that I almost picked the guy that finished 22nd last year. And guess who finished 22nd?
Thick boy,
No,
BJ McLeod.
no, he made the playoffs last year.
Annette?
No, it's not.
No, he
in
didn't
that.
make the
The
playoffs. last
Waterloo Blackhawks.
His name starts by a B.
year. BJ McLeod.
No.
Christopher
BJ.
Bell.
No, I almost said Brandon Jones. And no, I'm switching from Brandon Jones. No, Brandon Jones is not winning. I almost said Brandon Jones because I thought he got a top 10. But I
So,
was
okay,
wrong.
Blake just said in the chat, imagine Ronald McDonald makes a surprise entry with a car on Hamburger and wins the Volvo because of fuel knowledge.
No.
He's got a better chance of winning than Brandon Jones. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I got my pick. This driver, he has good number of wins this season. He got where did he get? I keep closing up my phone.
Justin with amazing research.
This driver, he got 7th place last year. He drives for Stuart Haas. Cole Custer is going to win at the Roval.
All right, so Justin's got coleslaw winning a race.
Yep, I bet he can.
He has some road course experience here and there,
Yep.
so that you can pick him off from.
All right. So
Well, move
now
on
let's
to
move
F1.
on to Mother Russia. Who do you guys winning for Mother Russia?
Okay, so
Literally.
the Russian Grand Prix takes place at Sochi Olympic Park, now known as the Sochi Autodrome, as a promotion for the
Did you see the
2014
Sochi auto joint?
Autodrome. It's as the race started
I
as
love that
a
name.
as a promotion for the Winter Olympics that took place in Sochi back in the 2014. That first race was won by Lewis Hamilton, who has the most wins at the at the
At the joint.
at the at the Autodrome with
Ross
3 wins. Nico Rosberg 2016. Valerie Bottas scored his maiden win in 2017. And remember, they moved the race from the spring to the fall in 2018, where Lewis Hamilton won his 3rd at the Russian Grand Prix. Mercedes has the only
they're the only
constructors
winners
to win, with 5 in existence.
But for them, for actual Mercedes, but they had Mercedes-Benz back then in 1913 and 1914.
Yeah, I'm only counting 1950 present.
Oh, I thought you're counting 1913 and 14.
No, the 5 wins were from the first race in 2014.
For me, it's Mercedes.
So who is going to win at Sochi? And can Mercedes stay perfect?
I think they can because
it's Mercedes.
It's not just that. Maybe you know what Ferrari did. They got an aero upgrade that helped his performance. Maybe Mercedes will do something like that because Mercedes might be strong. I think Mercedes will still.
Well, remember what happened last year? I don't want to talk about it.
Well,
there was
orders.
Yeah, but I think that Lewis Hamilton's gonna win at Russia again. I think he's just gonna be good and start on the pole, pull away from everyone.
What about Bottas? I mean, even though I don't think it's gonna work.
But remember what happened at the French Grand Prix, where Hamilton just pulled away and said bye bye to the field. Maybe
All
that's
Who the rest of you got?
Well, for me, despite what happened last year, I'm gonna have to go with Hamilton, man. The guy's been on fire.
The guy's been on fire. He hasn't won since Hungary.
Well,
he didn't even finish on the podium last time.
Well, he has 3 wins at.
Let's just hope that team orders doesn't affect the race like what happened last year, man. Because that was pretty shocking to hear.
Blake's betting on betting on Charles.
Okay, that's interesting.
Charles Leclerc. I'm sorry. I feel like the experience. Well. I mean, it's only second race.
You saw what he did with like make that move on the outside of I believe it was Magnussen or Grosjean. It was a Haas car. I know that.
I pick for the Russian Grand Prix will be Charles Leclerc.
Joseph's like, Charles doesn't have any experience. It might hamper him during the race.
Listen, he's on a roll,
I'm gonna
dude.
pick him.
He is on a roll. I like Hamilton. I know he's the winningest driver with probably the best chance, mathematically. If you look at those sides of statistics, I just think Charles will keep the strong run going.
No love for my man
You
Valtteri.
can't-
If it wasn't, he was the best car. If it wasn't for team orders, he basically dominated the race in 2017. So I'm going for Valtteri Bottas winning again. 2 out of 2 Russian Grand Prix wins.
That's like picking Rubens Barrichello to win the 2002
Hey.
Austrian Grand Prix.
Hey, so it's basically not that. So you're not going to hear this on the radio. Valtteri, it's James.
We'll see what happens next time we come on the podcast.
I don't think Mercedes is going to try to jeopardize like a 1-2 points finish. I think it's going to be close. I think Valtteri will pull away, but it will be close. And I don't think Mercedes is going to be willing to jeopardize Valtteri, falling further down in the standings.
Well, if you look last year, Lewis Hamilton was battling Vettel to win the championship.
Yeah, but at the
Not
same
his own
time,
teammate.
they're not even battling even anymore. And even then, like Valtteri was like what 4th or 5th in points at that time.
So yeah,
Like if Ricardo didn't have like 20 DNFs in the season, Valtteri would be the worst of the best. He was the worst of the best last year.
yeah, both of us is actually.
But he was also playing. He was also having to play the Felipe Massa, Rubens Barrichello
Hey,
role.
does anybody know that Valtteri? Do you know who Valtteri Bottas's wife is? if you were wondering.
Mrs. Valtteri Bottas.
No, Emilia Bottas. That's her current name. She was a swimmer from Finland.
Huh.
Wait, she's 20. She's turning 27, while Bottas is 30. Bottas is 3 years older.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's.
So does that
everything.
mean Valerie Bottas will swim to his second victory at?
I think we're gonna
Sochi?
end. I think we're gonna end it there. I think we're just gonna end it there.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Hey,
Blancon, anybody?
Hey, I have to warn you that Pastor Maldonado is not running WEC at next week at
They couldn't.
Fuji.
They couldn't handle God.
They put Felix da Costa instead.
They couldn't handle God. They can't handle the power of God Himself. All right, so yeah, that'll conclude it for this edition of the Below the O-Line podcast, episode 25. You guys know the drill.
Follow me on Twitter at Loboost Danny. Follow me on YouTube at DannyGirl48.
Follow my Twitter at YT NASCAR. Follow my Instagram at JustinBear88 and subscribe to my YouTube channel NASCAR88.
Follow my Twitter at JLP Snipes.
Follow me on Twitter, VelocityWRM. Follow me on Instagram, VelocityWRM. I mean, it says it right there. Follow us on Twitter, WR Media Group. Follow us on Instagram, World Racing Media. Follow us on Facebook at World Racing Media. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this edition of Below the Online podcast. And remember, folks, to stay off the damn weed.
Duh.
Catch you guys on the flip side.